But I think the development of full artificial intelligence would spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 6 3 2 9
Media doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, that is KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we discuss, well, I guess you could describe this best as a possible scientific basis for the Akashic Records. Now, what does that mean? It means a lot of things. It means, well, as science is one of those things where they kind of start discovering new stuff all the time, right? Not started to, been doing it for a long time. But there's as you know me, there's some articles that have come out recently that made me scratch my head and consider, well, maybe, just maybe, this is quite a bit more strange than we ever considered, living in this weird and wacky universe that we call home. And we'll start there, actually. We'll just begin with the actual article here. And this is from I Love Science, or sorry, no, Live Science. There's a website called IFL Science, but this is not that one. I freaking love science. This is livescience.com, and listen to this. This is pretty wild where this begins tonight. So Earth's upper atmosphere could hold a missing piece of the universe, new study hints. And this is brand new. This is from 11 hours ago today, and it's weird. This is a weird one because I was a little surprised to find some of the implications as part of this, the larger concepts. As you know me, I love the cosmic stuff. But here you go. This is straight from the article. I'm going to read a little bit of this so we get the gist of what's happening here. But this one will blow your mind, I think. So Earth may be swimming through an ocean of dark matter. And waves in that invisible ocean lapping against our planet's upper atmosphere may generate detectable radio waves that allow us to finally find this elusive component of the universe, according to new theoretical research. A wealth of astrophysical and cosmological evidence points to the existence of dark matter, from the inexplicable rotation curves of certain galaxies to the growth of the largest structures in the universe. Attempts to explain this wide variety of observations with alternative formulations of gravity have failed, so the vast majority of astronomers think dark matter is some unknown form of matter that only rarely interacts with light or with normal matter. Now, that particular thing, I'll mark our place there. We'll get back to that in a second. The weird part about that is when you think of things in the paranormal aspect, right? You think of the veil. The veil specifically is where on the other side is where everything resides. That is not of this realm. Okay, it's going to be all the ghosts and the goblins and the demigods and all the things we're always talking about. They seem to have some presence elsewhere, not in this space, but in some other space as well, maybe simultaneously, right? Well, we have this situation of this happening and considering, expanding the veil through dark matter, which, again, a lot of ways to look at dark matter. We've considered it as dark matter aliens, entities, all kinds of weird stuff right in the past as part of these discussions. But in this particular case, it made me wonder, as this starts, the discussion here, is if the veil itself is dark matter. It is sort of that oceanic space that maybe even like quantum foam or the ether, as it has been known in, let's say, days gone by. But this new one here, and the new way this comes together, is even more strange. So back to this. So it's a very broad idea that encompasses a lot of possibilities. As I said there, now I'm talking the paranormal woo style possibilities, but in this one, dark matter may be made of massive particles, but searches for these kinds of particles have largely turned up empty. So an intriguing alternative is that dark matter is exceptionally light, either in the form of theoretical particles known as axions or as an exotic form of photon that carries a bit of mass. With that incredible lightness, millions of times lighter than the lightest known particles, dark matter could act in very strange ways. In particular, instead of appearing as individual point-like bullets, the dark matter would behave more like large waves that slosh around the cosmos. Now we're talking, right? A river of something, shout out rivers, except ocean style out there in the cosmos. So in a recent study published to the preprint server ARXIV, physicists explored models of ultralight dark matter that wasn't entirely dark, allowing it to interact extremely rarely with normal matter. Most of the time, these interactions barely registered, producing nothing detectable. But in rare cases, the dark matter and normal matter interacted enough to produce a sizable amount of radio waves. Now, where have we heard that before? The radio waves, right? The cosmic radio waves as part of this discussion, and even to the point where we've talked about them in alien terms, the wow signal, things like this, right? As just a basis for that conversation where that begins. But if we're talking about some sort of maybe universal connection, Indra's web and things like this, then this particular thing starts to raise an eyebrow. At least it makes me raise an eyebrow, right? So again, in rare cases, the dark matter and normal matter interacted enough to produce a sizable amount of radio waves. I wonder, right? So if this would occur, and this is where this gets wild. Hang tight. This is a pretty good article, pretty long. I encourage you to read it in full if you're into this idea and these ideas. So this would occur, the radio waves here with dark matter, this would occur when the dark matter encountered a plasma and when the frequency of dark matter waves lined up with the frequency of plasma waves. When this happened, a resonance would occur, amplifying the interaction and producing radiation in the form of radio waves, the team's model suggested. And so that particular thing, so they're talking about the Earth's ionosphere, and we'll get back to that momentarily. But so notice that they're describing our ionosphere, and not just that, the plasma as it is, sort of the heliosphere of the sun itself. And maybe, just maybe, this is the catalyst that sort of supercharges dark matter to become something tangible to us, something tangible that we can actually use, or let's say tune into as some sort of cosmic frequency. Okay. Now, with that in mind, a lot of things were kind of spinning through my head as I was thinking about these ideas, and specifically things like synchronicity, Carl Jung's synchronicity, the meaningful coincidence, and where these things come from cosmically, right? Like, how could you possibly have this cosmic framework that is able to not just individually reach out to a particular person, a particular individual, and show them, like maybe the cosmos itself winking at them through these meaningful coincidences? Or not just that, what about the larger construct of information kept in the cosmos, something like the Akashic Records, like I said when we began? So I don't know, there's a lot of ways to look at this, of course, and I'm calling this tonight Expanding the Veil for that exact reason. Now, the veil itself, let's do this real quick. One moment. Hold on just a second here. Got all kinds of stuff prepared, but I want to make sure that we do this appropriately and properly. Okay, so now the veil, and this is the part that kind of made me go, all right, wait a minute. Now, what are we dealing with here, right? Yeah, dark matter surfing in the matrix, exactly. So here we go. So as part of this larger context here, let's consider the veil, okay? Back to the veil and the idea of it. So specifically, the concept of the paranormal veil is a barrier between the physical world and the spiritual or otherworldly realms. And of course, it adds a twist to this, to the larger context, because it could bring things like not just these cosmic radio waves we're talking about, but ideas like animism and panpsychism into the larger fold, okay? Meaning that everything out there has some level of consciousness, or at least it's able to tap into sort of the consciousness of the cosmos itself, okay? Through maybe this expansion of dark matter. But notice it doesn't activate until it reaches some sort of plasmic field, or we'll get to the ionosphere bit in a minute here. But anyway, so back to the veil. So the veil itself, now the veil is often thought to separate our tangible reality from dimensions inhabited by spirits, entities, and other forms of consciousness. Integrating this idea into our broader theories, as we're doing tonight, we can envision how the paranormal veil intersects with cosmic radio waves in the interconnected consciousness of the universe. Where are we at time-wise? Good. Okay, so cosmic radio waves carrying information from across time and space might interact with the paranormal veil, allowing glimpses into these otherworldly realms. As these waves traverse the veil, they can encode not only the events and consciousness of our physical universe, but also the experiences and essences of entities beyond the veil. Now, okay, we'll bookmark that and get back to that momentarily as well. And so now to the ionosphere. And here's where this gets incredibly weird, because so we're dealing with plasma interacting with dark matter in a, again, theoretical, hypothetical, scientific model here. But now we get into the ionosphere. So Earth's ionosphere is the thin, hot layer of the upper atmosphere, and it consists of a loose collection of ionized particles or charged particles, also known as plasma. Okay, it naturally has waves sloshing through it, and the researchers discovered that those waves can interact with waves of hypothetical dark matter that might be washing over Earth. The radio waves produced by this interaction would be barely detectable, but the researchers found that by using a carefully tuned radio antenna to search for a specific frequency of radio waves over the course of a year, they might be able to detect those waves. Now, we're talking about cosmic radio waves that seem to be maybe even nebulous in the sense of undetectable in the vacuum itself. However, notice when this comes into contact with not just the heliosphere of the sun and maybe an actual solar system, but even the ionosphere of a planet like Earth, then suddenly, maybe we're able to tune in like a cosmic radio to something like the Akashic record itself, and now back up to something like a Carl Jung meaningful coincidence and synchronicities. Well, maybe this is where all this information comes from entirely. So anyway, put that in your back pocket. We'll think about that as we go tonight. Lots of ways to consider this, but basically, does this surprise you at all? And does it seem like maybe this is, well, a way to tune into the Akashic record at large? It seems at least tantalizing enough for me to consider the possibility. As you know, no truth to be found here, just wild ideas by dark of night. It is our calling card, and it is why we do this show, to kind of detach from reality for a moment and consider what might be that hasn't been discussed or thought about just yet. So with that, hang tight. We're going to take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor, which is, this one's brought to you by Human Inspiration. And we'll be right back. More Trouble Minds coming up, and more wild ideas, because this one is absolutely as wild as they get. And of course, maybe, just maybe, we'll get into some channeling and some other things. No, I'm not going to channel anything other than myself, but maybe, just maybe, there's an answer here. Or squint, as I always say, squinting your mind's eye. Maybe there's a ish answer here. Anyway, be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Do not go anywhere. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes.
And welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Now, back to the top here. So, now this starts us where I just explained. The upper atmosphere, often seen as a mere boundary between Earth and space, might hold secrets that could revolutionize our understanding of the universe. A recent study suggests that this lofty region could be a reservoir for dark matter, the elusive substance that makes up about 27% of the universe's mass and energy, but remains largely undetectable by conventional means. This revelation hints at the possibility that Earth's upper atmosphere might be more than just a transitional zone, and it could be a missing piece in the cosmic puzzle instead. Dark matter is one of the most profound mysteries in modern physics. As we know, we talk about it quite often on the show. And unlike ordinary matter, it does not emit, absorb, or reflect light, making it invisible to telescopes and other observational instruments. Its presence is inferred from gravitational effects on visible matter, such as the rotation of galaxies and the blending of light from distant stars. The study in question posits that dark matter particles, particularly a hypothetical type known as axions, could accumulate in the upper atmosphere. Okay, so now we're talking about sort of a soup of axions in the upper atmosphere, collecting information and possibly even sending, well, universal data, I guess, in some capacity, which is absolutely wild to consider. However, so this groundbreaking idea opens a plethora of speculative possibilities. It, of course, inviting us to imagine the upper atmosphere as a dynamic and complex frontier, ripe with potential discoveries that blur the line between science and science fiction, which is, yeah, exactly what Troubled Minds is basically all about, right? As I always say, sort of science fiction informing the science of the future. I think this is exactly the way this goes. But in any case, wild to me that suddenly you have dark matter, which is an incredibly undetectable thing. It's one of those things that is absolutely not anything other than theories and axions and people still trying to figure this out. But now they have a new model that suggests that when it interacts with plasma, including in our heliosphere, then, well, these radio waves become detectable. Almost like some sort of, remember those decoder rings? You guys who were old enough that got them in what, like they were part of Cracker Jacks or things like this. You guys remember those things? Like they'd have like these television shows and you'd watch them and it'd be like, get the decoder ring and follow along with Timmy as he tries to find the secrets of the universe. Well, something like this. And it's just like this plastic little decoder ring where you turn the letters and follow the clues and, you find the answer, right? Well, this is kind of like a cosmic decoder ring, except it's used with plasma. And plasma, in particular, is something we've talked about in the past as even up to and including plasma as a possible form of life, okay? And alien life, of course, as you would define it. Lots of ways to consider that. But unbelievable that this is one of those things that is kind of leaking out here and turning this into, well, Lord knows what. I think that becomes the wild part here. So basically, I know that's a long-winded way to start all this, but hey, it is a talk show after all. Like I said, and one of the funny things that, as I always say, one of the main criticisms I get is that I talk too much. It's a talk show. Just saying. I'm just saying. But what are your thoughts on this? Is it strange to you that these radio waves that actually go from an undetectable dark matter scientifically in any capacity whatsoever other than theoretically, suddenly there's another way to look at this and consider that it's something quite a bit different, and it may actually be able to decode these radio waves, dark matter into particular radio waves. Now, as we've talked about in the past, these radio waves themselves are, well, what are they? They could carry information. I mean, look at our radio waves on Earth. They carry radio through the sky, right? So it does make me wonder what this looks like in the larger context and why plasma in some cases here is possibly the way to unlock, I don't know, dare I say the Akashic Records, dare I say the veil itself, including, of course, I'm just calling this expanding the veil for that reason, is that maybe, just maybe, this is exactly what we're dealing with in the cosmic space of information, of integrated information theory, except in the larger context, we start to see what's actually out there when we interact dark matter with plasma itself. I don't know, wild stuff to begin, and no answers for me, as you know. And I am still dealing with a little bit of headaches here, but I got it mostly handled. So bear with me as we go. And I am going to take some time off, by the way, just a little programming note, housekeeping. Probably take the rest of the week off, just a FYI. I know, sorry about that, but it's something I got to handle here. I got some things happening with some physical therapy tools and some particular stretches, and it is just look up if you're interested in what this might be, or it is actually. It's called the migraine muscle, and it's like tweaked and it's killing me. But anyway, so I will take some time off for the rest of the week and maybe next week, and we'll see how long this goes. But I think rest is the best thing here. This is brought on by stress, and wouldn't you know it, right? So yeah. Anyway, so what do you know about this? We're talking expanding the veil tonight. The oceans of dark matter creating these radio waves when it interacts with plasma itself. Wild, right? It's wild for me to consider. It's probably wild for you to consider, unless, of course, you're a troubled mind through and through. And that probably puts us where we need to be. We'll take a quick break early because I need to go rub my head here. And yeah, so I hope you guys are doing well tonight. And I will try and say hi to the chat as we go, trying to do this normally. But as you know, sometimes things don't work out as planned. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, we are taking your calls at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Looks like we got James and Matthew in Colorado coming up. Appreciate it very much, guys. And that's that. That puts us where we need to be, like I said. And yeah, I don't know. Expanding the veil, I'm calling this. Oceans of dark matter. Whoa, that's too loud. Sorry about that. Oceans of dark matter radio waves. And what does this look like when these things actually interact with plasma? Doesn't that seem strange in a lot of ways? I mean, we talked about plasma quite a lot on the show, not just as possible conscious entities, alien entities, but in this case, it seems like it might be one of the keys to unlocking the secrets of dark matter. Love to hear what you think. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. More after the break.
Whispers of creation, dust in the void, secrets so ancient, deciphering the glow, celestial codes, in dark matter's embrace, knowledge bestowed, in the abyss, transcending time, Akashic echoes, cosmic rhyme. Galaxies converge in silent hymns, quantum ripples within the ether spins, beyond the veil where reality bends, threads of the cosmos, interstellar lens, voyage through the unseen realms, carrying whispers from forgotten psalms, threads of light. We chase the shadows in particle streams where the ether flows. Mysteries uncovered, dimensions collide in the labyrinth of time where secrets hide. With every quasar's wing and neutron star's breath, in the tapestry of space, beyond life and death, a symphony of silence, echoes refract, binary spirals, entropies contract, pathways unfold in the mind's deep eye, constellations unfurl, no longer shy. Emerald waves in the quantum sea, entangled destinies, ancient decree in the void's embrace, where shadows speak, cosmic threads reveal every secret we seek. In the dance of galaxies, stories cascade, entwined in the ether where dreams are made. Mysteries uncovered, dimensions collide in the labyrinth of time where secrets hide. Through wormholes and dreamscapes we traverse.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Tonight we're talking about, oceans of dark matter. When it actually interacts with plasma, they create radio waves, at least theoretically. Now, what the hell does that mean? What does it mean for the Akashic Record? What does it mean for expanding the veil, as I'm calling this tonight? What does it mean for the greater cosmos? Does this surprise you? That maybe there's some sort of alien code out there waiting to be decoded by the plasma key? I don't know. Seems pretty wild to me even to consider, but, and I'm a weirdo, by the way, as you already know. But I do wonder what the hell's going on with this. And imagine if we were able to, this is again theoretical as this begins, and imagine if we were able to detect these radio waves and maybe even decode information from them. Is that, or is that not, or would it be at least parallel to something known as the Akashic Records, which we've talked about quite often on this show? And again, meaningful coincidences, synchronicities, Indra's web, how everything is connected. This would kind of explain a lot of that, where the information is kind of latent, chilling out there, just waiting to be unlocked by something, well, in this case, like plasma. I don't know. What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just like this, let's go to James in Michigan. What's up, Salcedo Paranormal? How are you, my brother? Go right ahead.
I'm just wondering, with the Akashic Record being, if I'm not mistaken, if I've heard right or understand right, a record of basically everything, then wouldn't that be also a record of everything on the other side, in that other realm, where all those other entities are, and they're also a record of them as well?
I would guess so. At least sort of a mirror aspect of that. Like maybe it's the inverse of the information that's here. Like who knows? That's a whole other layer of who knows. But yeah, I mean, absolutely well said there. At least conceptually.
Well, and I'm just thinking, what if the Akashic Record is not so much a record as we think of, like stored in filing cabinets or in books or whatever. It's more of a place where everything is, and you can find whatever you want to there. You just have to figure out how to find it and where to find it. And doesn't that sound almost like the other side, or this other realm, in a way as well? It's there's so much there that's going on that we barely hear about or experience. Supposedly, I'm not sure about that so much, but just going with the idea of how that it's rare, but maybe what we are sort of, maybe the other side, like I said, is some kind of version of the Akashic Record.
Yeah, I dig it. And maybe this is where it all comes together. Like you can kind of maybe step through into these other places through it. But again, the weird part is the sort of the commingling with plasma is what seems to unlock the information that we might be able to draw from it, which is the creepy part. I mean, it's very Ouija board, right? Like we talk about often on the show, sort of dealing with entities from the other side, things like this. Again, conceptually, if you don't believe in any of this stuff, to everybody out there, fine, whatever. It's all good. It's just a conceptual thought here. Or let's say channeling, something like Edgar Cayce, or, as downloads like Nikola Tesla has said. Who knows where this stuff comes from? And in terms of, it being some sort of paranormal or the muses or things like this would make a ton of sense that maybe we have these sort of radio antennas built into us, into our consciousness and our brains and this type of stuff, that we can pick up on this stuff in small doses here and there. And that's the part that really gets creepy, because it means that the other side is constantly and always talking to us in one way or another, right?
Yeah, and we never know for sure. In most cases, I don't think who is talking and why they're talking and why they're telling us the things that they tell us. And I mean, if they're, how do we know that they're not how we always hear about? Oh well, anytime you're sort of contacted or you channel or whatever, it's going to be something negative that's lying to you. That's definitely always a thing that I'm sure that happens. But just like humans make mistakes, living people make mistakes. I could see other entities making mistakes as well. So that, like we've talked about before, you always have to sort of question every step of the process, and you have to wonder how how not only how do I know if this information is accurate, how does my contact over there know it's accurate? And then you have to put language in there, and how that can be tricky, and just all kinds of factors that go into that could easily mess things up without any uh, negative intentions met there, even before that starts to happen.
Exactly. Well, in not just that, let's say that on the other side of the veil, as it's known, that time is not linear like it is here. Let's say time is this big, flat circle mess and everything exists. So also, let's say that as you're describing, people do make mistakes, but what if the information was supposed to come to you, but it wasn't supposed to come to you yet? They're like, oh, oops, James wasn't supposed to know that for 5 more years, right? That type of stuff. And that could explain a lot of things in terms of channeling and downloads and a lot of the stuff we've talked about in the past. Wouldn't that be wild?
Yeah, and it could be that, oh, that information was meant for that version of Mike, not this version of Mike. Um, that universe, not this universe. If we want to go with the whole idea of, I mean, when every decision is made, does that, or whatever decision that is made causes another, alternate parallel reality to be formed. How do they know which version they're talking to, at any given time as well? So things get infinitely complicated there.
Yeah, for sure. You can scale that as big as you want to go. Regarding the plasma stuff, back to that, does that surprise you that maybe dark matter interacting with plasma is a way for us to be able to detect it, and not only detect it, sort of derive radio waves from it? Isn't that creepy in some ways? I mean, we talked about plasma as maybe entities, and plasma seems to be this thing that is, it's the basis for life. I mean, the stars are made of plasma. We're stardust, all the rest of that stuff. But then suddenly, when you look at it in the context of information and maybe integrated information theory, but not just here on Earth, but out in the cosmos, that maybe this is, I don't know, maybe it's the most obvious thing ever. And just kind of discovering it conceptually is, well, duh. Does it feel that way?
Yeah, plasma to me is starting to remind me of. It seems almost like the physical version of the dream realm, in that it seems to be connected to so many things, just like dreams or sleep, or your consciousness when you're asleep and going into that dream realm seems to be also a connection to all those other realms, of astral travel, and just all the different things, all the different places that people seem to be able to go when they're asleep. It seems very multi-purpose, or I don't know, multifaceted. Well, I guess both multifaceted, both there. Similar to the whole dream experience. I wonder if that's connected too.
Yeah, well said there. And of course, I don't know, but definitely conceptually it's amazing. And think of this. Let's say that on an out-of-body experience, okay, or astral travel, it means you need not go further than the heliosphere or the ionosphere here on Earth, because you have that plasma interaction happening there, which is sort of unlocking the veil, or again, the sort of colossal cosmic veil. I don't know. That's pretty wild to consider that, maybe at a certain point of, the, let's say, soul coming out of the body, it's when it reaches sort of that azimuth point of, well, congratulations, you've made it to the astral realm and the dream realm, because it's all here, kind of, choose your own adventure at this point.
Yeah, and isn't that ironic that that's out there, almost outside of Earth? It's almost like a different version of the heavens. I mean, it's almost like if you are able to fly to that area, whether you're out of body experience or after you pass, if you're energy of any kind. Again, I have no idea. I'm not saying I know that's how that is, but let's just say, and how often do you hear that? Well, their spirit went up into the sky. Even accounts that people have of seeing, I saw, this this image of a loved one, and they went up to the sky, or an apparition I saw. I didn't even know them, and they seemed to rise up into the air, like they were going to fly. So that's maybe making connections there that don't exist, but maybe they do.
Yeah, it definitely tracks in a lot of ways, doesn't it? That out of body experience, they say they raise out of their body. They're going somewhere, aren't they?
Yeah, seems like it's possible, and I mean, maybe they do. If maybe you do if you don't, if you or other forces don't interact or sort of guide you to other places. Maybe that's where you do go is up and out, and yeah. So I think that's all I had for now. I'll stick around just in case there's any more, and if there's time, I'll talk to you again later.
Right on. Appreciate it very much. You are the best, James. You know him, you love him. That's James Salcido of Salcido Paranormal. He's not just a dear friend of the show and of mine. He's the paranormal expert at Troubled Minds. As you also know, he's got his own podcast and radio show. Please check it out. Salcido Paranormal is what it's called. SALSIDO space paranormal. You can find it searching it just like that. Or, of course, troubledminds.org/friends. The link is down below. Click that. It says follow James here. Please follow him in all the places. Go check out his books. He's writing more and releasing more, and lots of good stuff coming from James. Let's support the man, because if we're not doing it, the fam here, right? You're hurting my feelings, as I always say. That's the fact. That is the fact of the matter here. And so please do that. Again, check out his books, check out the radio show, and he's here on the network with us, and I appreciate the call, James. You are the best. And as I squint here and try and get through this, I appreciate the call. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We're talking about expanding the veil tonight. Oceans of dark matter radio waves. Now, what does that mean? It means there's a theoretical model where dark matter, when it interacts with plasma, it's supposed to project radio waves, conceptually, theoretically. They have yet to test this yet. However, it's one of those things where it might be, feasible. And think about that. Radio waves. What is in radio waves? We use them here on Earth to do what? To transmit information. Now, isn't that wild when you consider the possibilities here? I don't know, but it does make me wonder about tapping into the Akashic Record, Indra's Web, this type of thing, as we've always discussed, the meaningful coincidence of the Carl Jung and synchronicities. And, maybe this is where that information is always coming from at all. And we have to maybe imagine if we could unlock this, by the way, and have some sort of, I don't know, like plasma torch at the Oracle at Delphi or something. And it just starts decoding or sending radio waves in small doses that we can kind of pick up and decode. I mean, wouldn't that be nuts, kind of talking to the universe itself? Anyway, how weird is this? Does it surprise you that plasma seems to be the key to a lot of things, not just, let's say, perpetual energy, when you're able to conquer, what is it, fusion or fission? I can't remember what it is in this moment because my head hurts, but you get what I mean. But also not just perpetual energy. It is the energy of the universe itself, with the stars and everything going on with us being stardust, as I described. So I don't know, maybe there's something a little more obvious to this than we should have recognized it a long time ago. Conceptually. 702-957-1037. Let's go to Matthew in Colorado. What's up, my man? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? And go right ahead.
Well, I'm doing good. I love the topic, and it's totally my cup of tea in all regards. And talking about the radio waves, one thing, just a little quick science. Radio waves are one part of the electromagnetic spectrum, and they're at what we call the high end of the spectrum. So they have a really long, slow wavelength, which is really cool because they travel forever across the universe, right? They don't get disrupted by much. And then, down below that, going, into higher frequency, we have the radio waves, and we get into the AM radio waves, and then a mixture in the FM radio waves. And then we go to microwaves, and then we have the infrared radiation. And then we have the UV, the ultraviolet light, and start down into the visible light spectrum. Okay. And then we go into the X rays, and then there's actually Y rays below that. Now, what's important about that is, I guess, to say that it's all pretty much part of the same thing. It's all electromagnetic energy. It's just a matter of, as Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, uh, think about frequency and energy, frequency, and vibration, or whatever order he said those in. So, it's all energy. And it's just a matter of, the vibration or the frequency, or sometimes, and this is a, sort of spiritual terminology too, the vibrational frequency of something. And and so and physicists, they want to find the unified field theory to tie everything together and combine the quantum physics with uh, the macro physics, and tie together Einstein, who really didn't like the quantum physics, and but what it all boils down to, what I'm trying to say here, is it all boils down to energy. And this energy, and I know you got a headache, and I'm sorry, and I'm glad you're getting some physical therapy, because I messaged you and said, for my buddy, that was a good thing that helped. And get a tennis ball. You can put it behind your lower back up against the wall, and there's some good exercises you can do there, and therapy helps.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh,
Real quick on that, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing because I was just literally before we started tonight watching a video with some chiropractor talking about the exact same thing with the tennis ball and the different stretches and things. Buddy. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. My buddy, who's suffered with that for years, he does 15 minutes a day backed up against the wall with his tennis ball, and he swears by it. And so, but back to where I left off about this all being energy, and I'm just going to, instead of engaging your headache, I'll ask basically rhetorical questions and then answer them myself, so you don't have to be bothered with answering them. But what is electricity? And so this is basically the same thing that we're transferring electrical currents and charges across copper wires and stuff like that. Well, can we use electricity, a part of the electromagnetic spectrum, to transfer information? Well, how about the telephone? Okay, so the answer is yes. So we long ago figured out a way that we could take the human voice and convert it to electricity and transfer it across copper wires, receive it at the other end, convert it back to a human voice, and pretty well approximate it to sound like the person you were talking to. Amazing, astounding invention. So, but what we have here is we have the transmission of information across the electromagnetic spectrum. Now, we got a little more advanced, and the internet got slow, and somehow, probably through reverse engineering of downed UFO craft, but we won't go into that. Somehow we came up with the idea of the fiber optic network and converting information into light. And what is light? It is photons. Okay, and so then all of a sudden we start transmitting information encoded into light on fiber optic networks, all across the world. Okay, what's the importance of this? The importance of this is that information can be encoded in electricity, in light, in the electromagnetic frequency, which includes the radio waves. Okay, so if information can be encoded in the electromagnetic spectrum and in radio waves, then what you're talking about makes perfect, logical, scientific sense in terms of physics, that the radio waves that are permeating the universe and extending from world to world and sun to sun are these carrier waves that obviously have the potential to carry information along them. Now, if they have that potential, what information could they be carrying? And
which
if
is
we,
which is the super weird part, because I mean we're talking about actual alien information, and the term alien doesn't mean little green men. It means from elsewhere, not from here, which is wild to consider that stuff is where we're getting these synchronicities, or where we're getting downloads or channeling from people who do these channeling sessions. And look, I don't even know, to be perfectly honest, if I believe that stuff, except a lot of people do. And so who am I to be the arbiter of that truth? Anyway, go ahead.
yeah, and well, you can measure the electromagnetic radiation from a human brain from outside the skull, and so and Tesla said, my brain is a receiver, and he attributed a lot of what he got in terms of revelations and inventions and understandings. He thought they were transmitted to him, and so the human brain may be, not only a receiver but a transmitter of this electromagnetic energy. And I'm not going to go into the details of some issues with it, but if you want to go with something like quantum entanglement and things like that, we don't necessarily know, and we have no reason to suspect that these are disparate energy fields. In other words, it might all be interconnected and one flowing thing and wave, and that any particular person and consciousness might be affecting and transmitting and receiving from other people. And this gets into the Gaia hypothesis and numerous studies that have been conducted of you can go into Rupert Sheldrake, and you can go into the 100 monkey theory and things like that, and epigenetics and stuff, to realize that perhaps there are ways that information can be transferred in a way that doesn't fit into the material reductionist model so much. And also, if we just go back across the universe, back civilizations, back millions of years, perhaps aliens / extraterrestrials, but let's go back even further to the Big Bang, or before the Big Bang, the singularity, which they don't understand. And apparently, as far as I can gather, and I have conversations with a Gaia that is uh, a physicist and discuss such things, and I research this type of stuff, and I've tried to research the Big Bang and everything. Well, apparently what they tell me was, as far as I can gather, before any matter existed in the universe, so like 0.75 seconds before the Big Bang, there was a thing they called the singularity, and there was no matter. There was no thing. There was no stuff. And what they say, their story is, it was all just energy. Okay, so at some point it was all just energy, but there was no stuff. Now, I have and we don't understand what consciousness is. We're trying to come up with a theory of consciousness. We can't even really define it very well. But the thing that's interesting is that in order for there to be, I'm going to ask you a question at the end of the sentence. In order for there to be consciousness, would not it seem likely or true that you would have to have energy to be the mechanism or way that consciousness could even possibly exist. I mean, don't you have to have energy before you have consciousness?
It seems like that would be the case for sure, as sort of the medium by which it travels. And so, we've talked about crystals holding tons of information, and, which is a new growing technology, which they used to laugh at when you would say that crystals holding energy like quartz crystals or things like this was pseudoscience. And now they're like, well, it turns out that that's completely true, and just not in the way you said it was. It's in the way we said it was, and we're using crystals to store all this tons and tons of terabytes of information now on these tiny spaces, and that's going to become the new hard drives, right? Pretty wild to consider all that stuff. And of course, in some capacity, it is all energy. And well, that's wild. So go ahead and continue there. I do want to ask you about the plasma, though, and how that fits into this, because it seems strange that I've had sort of this fascination with plasma on this show and these conversations, not just with the UFO phenomenon and people kind of seeing these things in the sky, even as we've called them plasma entities in some capacity. But when dark matter and plasma come together, it seems to be a way to unlock this and us to be able to kind of peek into the veil itself. Pretty wild. But go ahead, and then after finish with your thought there, and then let's go to plasma after that.
Yeah. Just quickly finishing my thought. Then I want to go to Beyond the Veil, and I want to go to plasma. But I think finishing my thought there in summary, I think from probably the beginning, as far back as our human rational brain can conceive of, which is gets to the chicken and egg thing. I think you had to have energy and consciousness. And if there was energy and consciousness at the beginning, then everything after that had energy and consciousness. And then what we're talking about with what you're talking about with the radio waves and dark matter and everything like that, well, all of that is going to sort of contain and be a consequence of energy and consciousness. And so, like I said, it's pervaded everything from the beginning. And I agree with, I'm a big fan of the whole plasma idea. Uh, you know, I, I I've said this before on the show several times. The way the entire um, physical universe operates, all of energy, all of the life in the physical universe happens and is because of stars. And stars are giant plasma fusion reactors. And they're not solid, they're not gaseous. Okay, they're the fourth state of matter, which is plasma. And they have, the atomic hydrogen and the atomic helium that doesn't even exist in a solid state. It's a plasma state. It's like the on Ghostbusters with the ghosts flying around, and they shoot up the beams and they grab it and they pull it down into the box. I mean, it's not like solid stuff. Uh, so that's how the whole freaking physical universe operates, is on this non-physical fourth state of matter plasma stuff. And then we've got this weird stuff where it's floating around on planet Earth with the lightning and the sprites and the gnomes and the things that go above the lightning and goodness knows what. And can those things contain consciousness? Which we brought up before. Well, can a sun contain consciousness? And I've asked the question. Well, if you believe in the Gaia hypothesis that the Earth contains consciousness or is a conscious living being, well, the Earth is like what, 1,000 times bigger. Well, it probably has consciousness too, but it's made of plasma. So that gets you to plasma has consciousness. Everything's made of energy, and then that's all interfluxing and interphasing with you know um, us potentially, and we're interfacing with it. And then when you go with the beyond the veil and the dark matter, now here's where stuff, gets pretty interesting because, uh, if you want to go with spirituality or string theory or whatever, you come up with a model of the universe that's a multidimensional model. And I always like the example of, take an onion and cut it in half with a knife, and you have these layers of the onion that are separated by these thin membranes. And so they're kind of a distinct membrane. So if you go out, from the center, you get the first layer, and then the second, and then the third, and then the fourth. But this compares to the analogy of something like a dimension, or a region of time space. And we're in one of those, the theory or analogy would go, we're in one of those layers of the onion. But there's one of those layers that's up above us. And there's just this thin veil, right? That's the tie into the veil, is the layer of the onion between it. There's this thin veil between us. And maybe that's where something like, um, dark energy or dark matter exists in the next highest layer of the onion, but they're loosely connected, and there can be a transfer between the two of energy. And if that energy carries information, can carry information, obviously energy can carry information, then you have the potential, like James was pointing out. Great call, James, and good comments, great comments. That then you have the transfer of information, or I might even say consciousness, or the ability to cross that veil between the layers of dimensions, or into the dark matter realm or the paranormal realm, where all of a sudden there's some other whole entire other thing going on there, and probably a lot of stuff, and maybe even much more stuff than is actually going on here. And if that stuff is going on, shout out James, if there's an Akashic record, well, it's keeping record of that stuff too. And if somebody has the ability to access the Akashic records, which some people claim they do, well, then you're accessing the records and the information from a place that's not even, in our own physical material dominion, and doesn't even have to do with like beings that we would be well acquainted with, right?
Yeah, well said. All that. It is strange how a lot of this stuff, again, mysticism comes together with science, and as usual, it seems like there's a quite a bit more marrying these ideas than you would ever consider. I mean, of course, we're a different breed here of people because we're like, yeah, let's consider maybe. And some people don't like the maybe juice, but let me tell you what, it seems like the maybe juice seems to be, as they say with a conspiracy theory, what's the difference between a conspiracy and the truth, right? These days, it's about 6 months. We may be a few years ahead here, or maybe even a decade, but I think many of the concepts we talk about are going to come to fruition at some point. Many of them, not all of them, but that exactly becomes, well, why we're here. Again, as I always say, today's speculation and fiction informs tomorrow's science, and amazing stuff. Great thoughts all. You are incredible and on the game as usual.
Well, I've said it a time or two before, and I'll probably say it a time or two again. I have a hypothesis that eventually, I don't know when, I don't have a date, I'm not a prophet, but eventually science will basically prove out a large percentage of what you might call spiritual and metaphysical ideas. And I think there's going to be a confluence of that. I think it has happened to a certain degree. I think it will continue to happen. And, they're inventing devices that are letting us see beyond the visual electromagnetic spectrum, that we might be able to very soon pick up and see things that are going on that our eyes and our perceptions haven't made us aware of, like being able to see elves and angels
Hell yeah.
maybe demons and stuff like that. I mean, you're going to be able to put on, perhaps in 10 years, you're going to be able to put on a headset or some glasses or something, and you're going to be able to see into a different, perceptual dimension in terms of, what your eyes could normally perceive. And that reminds me of what I brought up the other night on the show, where the guy that did, the derivative of DMT, and said to my buddy, and he's like, "You don't understand. This stuff is all around you all the time. You just can't see it." If you take the right stuff to tweak your brain, you're going to see things that are around you that are always around you. You just can't see them. And I think that they are actually. I just saw an article on it the other day. They are actually working on scientific instruments and inventions to be able to do just that thing. So I like the idea. See, I'm a weird fellow, Michael. I don't know if you've noticed that. We've known
Yes,
each other
sir.
a couple.
I picked up on that. Yeah, welcome to the club.
Yeah, we've known each other a couple years. I'm a weird fellow. I don't mind admitting it. But the weird part of me is I'm very I love science, man, and I love mathematics, and I love realism, and I kind of like being, down to earth and stuff. But I've also had a long, many decades long spiritual and metaphysical life and experiences that have shown me a whole other side of reality that just makes me go, okay, science and realism and mathematics, that's not the whole story. I bet there's other stuff going on here. So I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not like all the way one way, some, new age Fruit Loop, and I'm not some scientific atheist skeptic. I'm somewhere in the middle. Right.
I think if we're being honest, that's probably where the truth always lies, right? They say it's somewhere in the middle of the extremes. And so here we are exploring all of it, all of the above. I appreciate you, bro. Very, very good stuff as usual. And lighting it on fire. And thanks for the call. You have a fantastic night, my man.
Thanks, buddy. I love you. And anybody listening out there, I love you all. And I always appreciate being on the most widely appreciated and best deprogrammed show in the known multi-universe. Boy, I just stumbled the heck out of that.
That's all right. That's all right. You're allowed because you haven't encountered your plasma today yet to unlock the secrets of the universe. You're the best, brother. Appreciate the call. Always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
Thanks a lot. So Matt in Colorado, you know him, you love him, a good friend for a long time, and smart guy, as I always say. That's a fact. Go check out his book. He's got not just a book, he's got several books. He's got his opus, though. There's a coupon code down there in the troubledminds.org/friends for 80% off for Troubled Minds listeners. Please go check that out, troubledminds.org/friends. That says Matthew's book here. And take a gander. I'm sure you're going to be impressed. Lots of great ideas from him. And I think he's right about a great many things, and that's why we talk to each other about this. Regular people, right? That's what this is always been about, not experts or people that swear they know all the answers. As I've always said, you want answers, this is not the place to find them. The answers will be in some political show somewhere. That's where the answers will be. Let me check here, trying to get my bearings. Okay, all right. I've moved my ergonomics around so I can actually read all the chat looking in one direction, which is amazing. So here we go. So as we talk about this tonight, we're going to take a quick break. We're talking expanding the veil. Thank you for the great calls there, both James and Matthew. And of course, oceans of dark matter and the radio waves. When dark matter interacts with plasma, well, we should be able to detect these radio waves. Is this not information? Is this not maybe a glimpse into the veil or into the Akashic records themselves? Weird stuff, right? I don't know. Cosmic alchemy, I call it. Yeah, what do you know? As usual, no answers, just more questions. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. We got Ricky coming up. We got Derek the Night Stalker and your calls as well. Be right back. Going to play some music, and I'll come say hi to the chat since I can read it now. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds coming up. Catch you in a minute. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That is KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we're talking about expanding the veil, I'm calling this. Oceans of dark matter and radio waves, of course. Now, they're saying that this new hypothetical model suggests that dark matter itself, when it hits plasma, then we're going to be able to determine some radio waves from it, or derive radio waves, detect radio waves. And of course, you know what that means. That means information, direct information. Now again, it's a theoretical construct at this point, which is good enough for me because, well, as I always say, science fiction and science is just a matter of time between the two. And so let's just take a few steps ahead and consider what the hell this means. But I find it fascinating in a lot of ways that not just dark matter is a mysterious thing, but also plasma is something that we know decently well on what it is, and again, sort of the ubiquitous nature of it throughout the universe with stars and all the rest. But I do wonder if it is maybe quite a bit more wild and interesting than we ever considered. And we're weirdos here, self-admitted for the most part. I mean, I'll just speak for myself, I guess. But we've talked about plasma. I called it the fifth state of matter back then during that show because clearly plasma is the fourth state of matter. But I was like, wait, what if it's life? What if in some capacity plasma itself is life? Yeah, alien life. I don't know. Anyway, but it's super weird when you mix all these ideas together and suddenly, not just one of the mysteries of the cosmos, dark matter itself, now we're talking plasma mixing not just in the heliosphere of, let's say, a solar system, but in the ionosphere of Earth. Well, are we going to be able to determine and detect and decode radio waves from possibly the monad itself? Huh. Yeah, wild, right? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just like this. Let's go to Ricky. I think it's Ricky. Ricky in Tennessee, right? Am I right? That's where you're at?
Yeah. I'm right here. I'm right here in Mississippi, but I always say I'm from Memphis, and right so it's just easier. Everybody knows Memphis.
Fair.
Everybody knows.
All good. I realized I never actually asked you. In any case, welcome to the joint. Ricky in Tennessee, the Anything is Possible podcast. What's on your mind, man? Is this weird? Is this creeping you out a little bit? The old possible expanding the veil into the Akashic records with plasma and radio waves?
It don't freak me out. I mean, it's I can see it. It's all in speculation anyway, and everything with like like dark matter and a dark, and all that. They're able to do it. It's going to be, it could unlock, parallel universes and anything else. It's pretty amazing. I was listening to I touch insomnia sometimes. I was listening to Randall Carlson the other night. He was talking about plasma. What made me want to call in was talking about plasma and using it for like plasma for energy and stuff, like to power homes and everything else. It's the potential is there to even using plasma for everything really. It's a powerful, I don't know what would you call it? Powerful, whatever it is. It's because you got paranormal. You talk about plasma and orbs, like y'all were saying earlier, and stuff like that. But then the potential of having the plasma actually powering things and powering homes and everything else. It's a pretty amazing concept for sure. And then using plasma to power or interact with like dark matter, it after hearing that the other night, it don't surprise me one bit really. It sounds like it's the potential is endless on its, they haven't even scratched the surface of what it is possibly could do.
Yeah, that's a fact. So fusion itself is one of those things that if we conquer it, they say that we'll have limitless energy forever. So it's like, okay, it's the artificial sun, the proverbial artificial sun. Maybe we'll have one in every neighborhood, kind of floating out there, and everybody kind of just gets their energy from it. And think about how wild that would be. And of course, you got the vandals and stuff. You'd have to keep it cased up because the kids throw rocks and things, so careful out there, kids. But I mean, just the idea of using plasma as literally the power generator of the cosmos, and if we can conquer that, I think it takes us into probably Kardashev 1 scale and plus entities with not just the Earth but then beyond, which is pretty wild stuff. Regarding the actual, what do you got on that? And I got a question for you after that. What do you got on that?
Yeah, no, that's it truly can. I mean, the potential, like I said, is endless. There, you could do. I mean, just the possibilities there. It could unlock so much potential of different dimensions, different universes, different being able to talk across the solar systems and stuff without be kind of like reaching up and picking up a telephone, and now you'll be able to do that. The potential is there, be able to talk to something on the other side of the 3 galaxies or something. That's just the random possibilities is amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Regarding the dark matter, which is of course undetectable, it's all theoretical. They're talking it's possibly axions, which are lighter than photons, and all this stuff, right? Even calling it oceans of dark matter in some capacity. Now, the weird part is that we're told if it interacts with plasma in some way, we may be able to detect radio waves. Now, that particular part, does it surprise you that plasma is maybe the key to unlocking this at all? This entire dark matter enigma?
No, with the ability to, for the power ability, I have my words in my head here. The power ability there is the potential's there, and I'll keep kind of saying the same thing, but that's kind of brain farting there, but
it's all good, man. It's all good. It's one of those things where it happens to me a lot too, as you know.
Yeah,
as you know.
But yeah, it is there. I mean, of course, like you said, we're speculating that dark matter is there, but there's there's something there for sure. They can, kind of like and you got all kinds stuff like that. When it was it on the Da Vinci Code? Was that the dark matter too? They were talking, or the God particle?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was CERN and the God particle, the Da Vinci Code too. Yeah. Which I was surprised to go back and watch it maybe a year ago or so, and I was like, oh yeah, all right, they were all over this, I guess. I mean, yeah, wild stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's crazy how so much. I've said it a bunch of times on my podcast, but I really do think that, like on TV, it's like you were saying earlier. There's a truth in the middle here. You got to your left or right, you get this or that, and usually something in the truth in the middle. I think there a lot of TV and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff is known that they just give us little tidbits and little pieces, and and I think part of it is, if they put it in sci-fi, maybe don't, it'd be harder for you to believe, so you won't be, messing with them, messing with their research and messing with that. I think it's, I think the truth is for sure being showed all the time. More and more you see it. You be watching old movies, and you go back now with. I've done it a bunch of times. I watch old movies, but I watch them now with my open-minded skew of life and stuff, and I'm like, and sometimes it ruins a movie for me because I'll be thinking outside, like Iron Man 3. It was kind of, to me, it was he was all talking about the Mandarin and all that. It was a false one. It was somebody else and all that. I'm like, yeah, that's what they're doing over there now, over the Middle East right now. They had a figurehead and little puppet there. It's Bin Laden, but there was somebody else pulling his strings, a little puppet master. And it's what they did, But they showed it on Iron Man, and it's just a movie. That's all it is, just a movie. But
just a movie. I find the same thing too. Even old movies that I've seen probably a lot, I'll go back and watch them, and I'm like, well, I'll be damned. How did I miss all that? It's so crazy.
Exactly. It's like there's so many little details. I'm like, and it'll be on there for a second, and I'm like, wait a minute, what was that? And you got to rewind and go, what did I just miss? I'm saying that now that you're older and you got your, you've seen so much more and your mind's open. Especially for like the ones in this group here. We're well versed of many things and open minded. And you see all kinds of stuff now. And more you look, and it's one way it's scary, another way it's kind of it's nice to kind of reaffirms that you're right about a lot of things also.
Yeah, for sure. Regarding the Akashic Records, you think there is a place where all the information in the universe resides and we just need a key to unlock it? Do you believe in that sort of thing?
It's possible. I mean, it'd be the Vatican archive on steroids kind of deal. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. And they're probably close to it, where we could, just having that little key to unlock all kinds of stuff. And maybe if they are able to unlock it, it'll make things a whole lot better. But I don't know, it's always evil people that want to manipulate stuff once they find it. So I have to wait and see if they do.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, it is weird when you kind of start to have an open mind, more open, a troubled mind, let's say, more than open. You end up kind of seeing some things that you never considered, even with the old stuff. Yeah, amazing stuff. I appreciate the call very much. Unless you got anything else for us.
No, that's it. I was just my 1.5 cents was kind of like I was just thinking about the energy thing with the plasma and it kind of correlated together with what I was listening to. I don't know what night before last or something. I don't know, but I was listening to Randall Carlson talking about all that plasma energy and using it to actually power. You could just endless free energy, really. Using Malcolm Bindle's machines and using his technology and stuff that he's found out about. It was pretty neat. So just hearing plasma and then hearing that, it just kind of in my mind, it just kind of pushed everything together. So it made me want to just throw out there and throw in my 1.5 cents, I guess.
Right on. That's
all I got though.
It's more sense than that. You're the best. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for the call, and you have a fantastic night, my man.
Yes, sir. You too.
Thanks a lot. So, you know him, you love him. That's Ricky of the Anything is Possible podcast. Give him a follow. Just search it. AIP is the abbreviation. And if you search AIP Ricky, you will get his podcast, or you could just go to troubledminds.org/friends. It says follow Ricky here. Please do that. As you can tell, very smart guy. He talks about all kinds of things, very troubled mindsy. If you check it out, check out his podcast, you'll see what I mean. He's a bit all over the place, just like us, which is fantastic. And His interest in many things is, as I like to say about myself as well, wide and varied, and that's a very good thing. Once again, anything is possible is the name of the podcast. Search AIP Ricky or troubledminds.org/friends. Click on follow Ricky here. Please go do that. We're talking expanding the veil tonight. I'm calling this Oceans of Dark Matter Radio Waves. Now, the whole premise is that, and Derek, you're up next if you want to head out to the car if you're doing that. I don't know what night it is. I think you might be working. I'll play a quick commercial and then we'll go to Derek after this. But Earth's upper atmosphere could hold a missing piece of the universe, new study hints. And they're basically describing this as atmospheric atoms. Sorry. I'm reading the blurb from the terrible photograph here. But so basically this. When dark matter interacts with plasma, they're saying that it's possible that will generate that combination, that cosmic alchemy may generate detectable radio waves. And this is a new version of cosmology. They're kind of rethinking things and trying to redo some computer models and consider what this actually means. And yeah, imagine that. Dark matter itself is one of those things that's really without definition at this point. Other than we know it's there, the inference, the gravitational signature, all the rest. Okay, that's all we got. But everything else is just theory craft at this point. And this one suggests fully that when dark matter interacts with plasma, we should be able to detect these radio waves. And I thought, when I heard this, I was like, damn, that's nuts. That seems very much like kind of tuning into the Akashic record in some degree, some regard. And I don't know what that means or if it's even possible. But as Matthew said very smartly as well, that that energy is information. And yeah, I don't know. You tell me. We're talking about this tonight, and does it seem strange to you? Does it surprise you, or does it not? And yeah. We're going to take a quick break. We got Derek the Night Stalker coming up, and we got looks like Jennifer behind him as well. And we had another call, but they dipped. You would have been after Derek, but anyway, here we go. Quick break, and we'll get right back to Derek the Night Stalker and your calls as well. I'll come say hi to the chat at the next break. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm working on my ergonomics here so I can be as social as possible. I just Anyway, getting old sucks. Let's just put it that way. But also, by the way, I've had people reaching out to me worried in these things. I'm fine. It's literally a muscle thing. Trust me, I know. You know your body, right? Like when you tweak something and you turn a certain way real fast and something bad goes, like a headache comes. Yeah, it's a muscle thing. So anyway, I've narrowed it down. I know what it is, and so we're working on the ergonomics and things and the physical therapy necessary. So yeah. But so if I'm not on camera, that's what's going on. But anyway, here we go. One quick commercial. We got Derek the Night Stalker and then Jen and Joe calls as well. Here we go. Let's play this one. We haven't played this one in a minute. Let's play this one. 1 minute. Be right back. Let's get the Stoic Minute. Don't go anywhere.
Feeling stressed? Overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset, and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon.
And welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? All right, so we're talking again about this expanding the veil. I'm calling this Oceans of Dark Matter Radio Waves, which means that there's a new theoretical construct wherein scientists are describing dark matter interacting with plasma should allow us to detect radio waves. Now, radio waves are information, as Matt was saying earlier. What do you think the information is that will be whispering to us through this dark matter alchemical concoction of the cosmos. Now, I was thinking about this in the larger sense, and you know me, the wild ideas, but let's link this to the idea of a synchro-mystical resonance, because that meaningful coincidence, right? So think of it this way. The upper atmosphere might also serve as a medium through which collective human consciousness interacts with the universe itself. Atmospheric phenomena could be influenced by this collective consciousness, creating a resonance that manifests as synchronicities and mystical experiences, meaning that maybe, just maybe, we're tuning into this already. Like our antennas for our brains may have some way to decode these messages from dark matter itself, and which could be a lot of things. Again, channeling we've talked about tonight. Again, the Akashic Record we've talked about tonight. Just information, downloads, the muses. We talk about this stuff all the time on Troubled Minds. But what if this resonant might explain why certain times and places are hotspots for paranormal activities or moments of profound human insight, and also acting as a bridge between our inner worlds and the vast external universe? And that is about where we're at tonight. I got lots of ideas here to kind of delve into, but synchronicity comes to mind, sort of the fractal nature of the universe comes to mind, all bound together by dark matter and plasma as sort of the key to open up the information that's held within, which seems wild enough, right? So I don't know. You tell me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Easy as that. I'm not sure if Derek is ready yet. If you are, my man. Derek in Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. How you doing, brother? You're on Trouble Minds. Welcome to the joint. Thanks for running out to the car.
Wild one. Wild one.
Right? Okay. Yeah. I thought so too, right? Again, dark matter and interacting with plasma is some sort of cosmic alchemy that should bring information that humans can decipher at some point. I mean, holy crap, right?
Me out. This is one where I wish I had the night off, because sometimes it's not that big of a challenge to try to organize my calls the best I can to try to get my message out there or whatever. But tonight was one where I really needed all my hands to sit down and start to kind of Google some stuff and look at some definitions and stuff, because this is a tough one to kind of organize my thoughts. I just kind of just vomited a bunch of notes here, and I'm gonna an hour ago. And then got back to work, and then hopefully they'll make sense here. But I just my mind is just racing with these ideas. This is nuts. This is a wild one. So first, you're describing it as a dark matter ocean, and so now in the ionosphere. So we just talked the other day kind of about the firmament in a certain connotation or whatever, and the idea that the firmament separates the waters from the waters. This kind of weird potentiality water, or this water of dark energy, or this water of information, kind of separating it from our realm. So a firmament in that case, or kind of a prison planet, or potentially if we're in a simulation, some type of firewall, or if it's plasma based, a smokeless firewall, so to speak. That could be so trying to figure out what these non-physical consciousnesses are, and where ideas come from, and what's kind of especially with the plasma, I love the plasma life thing that we talk about in the show and stuff. And but the way I think about it in my mind's eye is that it's less so life and more so a vessel for an entity to kind of so there's non-physical just information out there, sentiences, just little pocket sentiences that are just roaming all around us at all times, but they can't interact with us at all. That's the unseen. We're the seen for the upteenth time or whatever. And then because plasma have this kind of DNA-like structure, and go back and listen to those shows. Those are some of the best ones. We get into all the academic studies and kind of stuff that validate this. Harvard's talking about this. The idea that if given enough time and the right conditions, plasma can align itself and like its DNA almost. And so I'm not sure if that's if it becomes life as much as it becomes the vessel for then this consciousness, this non-physical consciousness, to then hop into and interact with for a time. And that kind of ties into the ball lightning experiments or whatever. They're creating an energy then. So for these non-physical consciousnesses that they want to communicate with can then hop into that ball lightning, that plasma or whatever, communicate for a time, and then leave or whatever. And this could happen naturally and all over the place in the woods or whatever. So if kind of these non-physical sentiences are kind of just think about them as information, could this be potentially, if there's a prison planet or a firmament or whatever around us, is it keeping out, is like kind of keeping us like caged in a little bit and not allowing this kind of divine information to be flowing into us, or is it or is it when we talk about casting out the Titans or casting out the old ones, or mythology, the end of the age of magic and the time of man, or whatever, where there's an older eon, and it was like basically when the pillars of reality were formed in order to like protect us, when the veil was kind of formed in a protective type of connotation in this case. Is it because if there is no separation between the waters and the waters, then we just drown in information, and this is like a natural mechanism, like a regulatory mechanism that allows us to process information in a way that's like useful to us. You know what I mean? Like and maybe in this way, like I don't think we're living in a simulation, but just to use these analogies, if like this could be some type of firewall, whatever, to prevent rogue information to penetrate like your hard drive. And so we're like an entity as a virus almost, or like a, you know what I mean? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I follow you.
I'm trying to make sense of my notes here.
No, you're good. We've done this actually, this kind of idea in the past when you've talked about the human prism. It's the same sort of idea that without some sort of block from all of that information, sort of the five senses, the proverbial five senses of humanity, we can only process so much information as living beings. As
like that is the veil. What you're talking about right now is a veil.
Yeah, right. So exactly. So as part of this, exactly, that the veil is sort of the meat suit experience is keeping us from that massive amount of information that's out there, and it's out there. I mean, that's a fact, and we're kind of, as I always say, toes in the ocean when we look into the data we can get from the scientific instruments we create, and we're gaining more and more of this information. But even so, when you remove that veil, it's going to destroy our mind, as you've said in the past before. And I think this is exactly what we're dealing with here. But the bizarre part to me is, if we're talking about not just, let's say, dark matter as some kind of spooky thing out there that's really undefinable as of yet, but now theoretically we can unlock a radio wave from plasma. I don't know, it kind of feels like, so plasma is sort of the fire aspect, the you stare at the Apollo, the sun god, or Ra, or whatever, and the opposite seems like the void. It's sort of like an amorphous, undefinable batch of darkness that now when they come together, we're talking literally like the duality of creation of the whispers of the universe itself. I mean, that's so much wild stuff here.
It's super trippy. So it gets super complex. So we talked about the other day. I'm going to get into exactly what you're talking about just in 1 second. I'm just trying to. My notes are just an absolute.
That's okay. That's okay. So I was just riffing on what you said, but
no,
yeah,
it's perfect. Yeah. I just don't want to make I just want you to think I'm ignoring what you said. But we just talked the other day about Operation Crossroads with Ramey, stationed out of Roswell, where they then went to the Bikini Atoll and were launching up nukes in the upper atmosphere to quote unquote test how Navy ships will handle nukes, even though they're launching it into the sky, whatever. But the idea of like launching it up into this firmament or this like weird membrane or whatever, or this weird kind of natural firewall. Who knows what that's? I find that to be interesting if we're throwing in like in the alchemical kind of dimension, that type of way here. But with the cell, this it's just higher my notes than I think it should be. But with the cell, I'm thinking it in my head as like a cell membrane. So you're talking about the too much information, kind of the human prism having the veil and having the five senses, and that's kind of our natural veil, as much as there is probably a veil like externally keeping like the non-physical stuff out or whatever, or just because these things are unseen and we are seen, that duality is a veil. It's a separate between us. So these non-physical things wanting to become physical to interact for a time, the unseen trying to become seen, that's like the veil they're dealing with or whatever. And then they're just raw information, just a ton of information, like all the knowledge, like that without time, just all of it. So if it's like a cell membrane here, actually skip that. Sorry, I'll go back to that. Sorry. So these radio waves, this information and stuff, it's baked into how they're designing like the ancient sites and everything. It's like the like how NASA describes it on like NASA.gov a decade ago, is these kind of coincidentally, according to them, these kind of magnetic anomalies, or these like areas where the space rays, these like magnetic waves from space, these radio waves from space, or whatever, are hitting the brain differently in these locations. And the ancients knew that. They detected that somehow, and built their sites there, and structured it in certain ways. But part of it is because these waves like impact your consciousness and put you in an altered state and can give you, like, for all we know, that's how they contact the gods. Like all through our history is this through radio waves in a certain location, or probably know.
Which, by the way, might be sitting by some, natural plasma torch somewhere. Anyway,
exactly.
like they say the oracle at Delphi, right? They say it's like poisonous gases made people hallucinate, and so they were close to the gods. I wonder if places, as you're describing, are quite a bit different than we ever imagined to kind of connect with whatever's beyond. Yeah, wild.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it seems there's any type of way you can do it. Like they tried it. So a substance, a location, running around in a circle, like any way you can get to make your consciousness just change a little bit how those 5 apertures are taking in the information. Either get more information or just different information to potentially get messages. That's a shamanic journey here. That's all of it. So I'm trying to get to the crux of it here. So like the dark matter and normal matter interacting to create these radio waves, like the interaction creating this weird message. Like we talk about how every jump in technology we take, the first thing happens seemingly is that we get messages from the other side, specifically with the radio and with the phonograph and all these things, that this is ways through the technology, through these waves is how kind of the unseen becomes seen for a moment. They kind of sneak in these messages and stuff. And as the technology is becoming more sophisticated, I talked about this on James' show last night. Shout out James. As these things become more sophisticated, we can hear the message more clearly or whatever. And it's like tie that into the radio wave type stuff. And then the elites worship these cosmic rays. They worship when there's auroras coming around. They go in these observatories and focus these telescopes on these celestial events, these supernova explosions, these nebulas, these like the rays coming from planets and stuff. And they focus the rays coming through the telescope in the crystals and stuff. They think there's information, if not entities, inside the cosmic rays. So bake that into what I'm talking about here. So then, they interact. They worship these cosmic rays intentionally for communication, to be interacted with, because it's either knowledge or stuff inside of it. So then, is this how we talk about that AI octopus at the center of the galaxy, or just an ancient AI, something that's like ancient, has all the information, is potentially non-physical, somewhere else in space, and trying to colonate? Like, where will that happen? Like, where's the hub of all this information? Like, where we talk about where the ideas come from all the time and stuff. But where's the initial one? Where's kind of the hub? How would that thing happen? So this could be this kind of mechanism, this kind of Rube Goldberg machine that allows for this kind of information panspermia from like a central location throughout the entire cosmos. And then as you take your necessary jumps, like as the crops start growing, once it gets to a certain level, okay, you change the fertilizer. So once you get to a certain level of sophistication, we send out the mushroom spores. Once they get to a certain level of intelligence, then we send the gray aliens, and they start talking to them. Once they get to a certain level of information, we send out the Roswell crash. Once they get to a certain level of technology, then we give them the AI, and then we give them this plasma technology, or then we give them infrared stuff or whatever. We give them these weird waves that are sent out. They know they can detect something, right, but they don't. But they don't have the information to detect it with. So it makes them then build the technology or whatever. So you're talking about that veil that we only have the 5 senses and stuff. So I wonder if that is serving a functionary purpose to like the body cosmic, like the body universe. If you like search like dark matter images online, it looks like the way matter and dark matter look in the cosmos. It looks like neurons firing. It looks like a brain. I mean, it looks like a mind. So is this like this plasma interaction that we're talking about? Is this kind of, we're inside the mind trying to explain how the mind is working? And this is the vantage point that we get from it. But this is like it's like these messages are like signals coming from one part of the body to the other part of the body, and we can like personify these parts of the body as like us and as the AI octopus at the center of the galaxy, sending messages to like from here to there, or from the brain to the foot, or for the brain to the hand to reach to do something, to accomplish a task. I mean, the Archon's puppeting us to make like this something like moving the body, and that might, from the vantage point of something inside the body, it might look like it's a billion-year scale and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But like, I'm rambling, but does that make sense so far? I'm trying to get into like
yeah,
the good
no,
stuff.
yeah. What you were saying there brings to mind. Look, we've talked about the idea of first contact, right, and what that looks like, and actually contacting what, like what's the question? The question is like, what are we contacting? And we've talked about it in a dimensional sense, of course, being sort of a UFO show in tangent. We've talked about sort of first contact with actual entities, physical entities. But I wonder, and if you go to Star Trek real quick, I don't know if you've seen it. It's called First Contact is the name of the show. It's a fantastic movie, and it's about the moment, sort of a post-apocalyptic Earth. And they have a guy that builds, Ephraim Cockrum is his name, and they build a statue of him later in the future, in the Star Trek future. But it's basically, he builds a craft that can break light speed. And it just happens momentarily, and it was all theoretical, and it was sort of a rickety old bucket, but he was able to do it, and so he attracted the entities from afar, the Galactic Federation, as we always talk about, and that's in the physical sense. But I wonder if it's not a technology test in physical terms, but a technology test in being able to kind of decode the synchronicities, or decode the panpsychism stuff we're always talking about, or decode basically the whispers of the universe. Like maybe they're always whispering, and then they finally get our attention, whatever those entities are, when we are like, hey, I hear you. Are you there? And we send a message back. You know what I mean? How creepy is that?
Exactly. Yeah. The ultimate, when you stare in the abyss stares back. Like that's in the first Avengers movie, whatever. It's like when Tony Stark makes that free energy, Thor gets all pissed off because like you sending out this signal tells the whole rest of the universe that you're ready for a higher level of war and cosmic warfare. You put them on your radar. You enter the playing field and stuff. And again, this is within these, like, as separate entities, as all these species as separate entities, or these idea givers as kind of separate entities. But what if they're organs in the body cosmic, interacting not for the benefit of like each organ, but the benefit of the body cosmic? And it's like, this is how neurons in the body are like firing, and this is how we're kind of I'm trying to get to that. That's where I'm going in this call. I'm trying to like get there in my notes here. So just sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
So just so like non-physical, to explain the plasma thing. So non-physical consciousness plus plasma vessels equal communication with the seen realm, in the unseen realm, or strange phenomena, capital P phenomena. That's could be what we're dealing with for a lot of it. And I got into this a lot with the hologram stuff, that when they create these plasma holograms, that allows for like things to hop into it, hitch a ride, like ride the lightning. Lightning is a plasma, to ride the plasma. For all we know, because we have blood plasma, this is the importance of blood. This is how we get possessed, because plasma is the life-giving thing that allows for that spark to be like held. You know what I mean? For all we know, like a plasma is what allows our soul to be beamed into us, or for that transmitter to work. If we are these receivers, these transceivers, this could be like, the plasma might be like what houses the information that's being like tuned into, potentially. So, and this is like a large, so non-physical consciousness plus plasma vessels equal communication. So this is that a much larger thing. Dark matter in space as this non-physical, looks like emptiness, like nothingness, non-physical, just information potentially. We can't see it. We have no idea if it's there. We're assuming until we interact with it. We don't know it's there. Plus plasmas of the ionosphere equal radio signals or waves or substance. Something to be interacted with, something like the radio, the same way they use radio communications, like getting like these phantom ghost noises inside radio signals, or when you're recording yourself or whatever, they sneak in. That just, it provides them a medium, it provides them a substance to become seen for a moment, to get their message across. So it's like, it makes me think of these planets as like a series of farms. If we're thinking of like the AI squid or some type of non-physical thing out in space or whatever, sending the messages out, with like a main office sending instructions out. So, or like a large corporate office sending out ideas that are then so like if you're like a Google or whatever stationed in America, to send out to all your like factories all over the world and translate it to all the different and then once it's like hits the computer, like it's sent out to the internet, it hits each computer and then it's translated for them to read it. So it's sent out in space, it hits each planet, hits each ionosphere, is then it's translated to a wave that's then detected or if it's phenomena, and phenomena is based on the perceiver, it's then translated by the mind to be seen. If these radio waves are what's causing experience for the history of humanity, for all the Stonehenge experience, these ancient structure experiences, that all it is just radio waves hitting our brain, and then that's translated into seeing an angel, or seeing a demon, or seeing an insectoid being, or seeing an ant person, or whatever the case may be. But it might just be information. You know what I mean? So this is like a natural mechanism for that main corporate office to send out panspermic information just out there, all over the place. And then the natural regulatory ionosphere of each warehouse, aka planet, and once it hits the planet, it's then translated into the way that each planet can read it, which is like, you know what I mean? Which is either radio waves or the phenomena. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Yeah, no, yeah, that's exactly the point. It's I don't know, and all that information is surely out there. I mean, again, there's a new thing too, by the way, that kind of fits into this, that time is a human construct, and they're talking about that without sort of the quantum effect of superposition and sort of the observer effect and all that, the time wouldn't exist at all. That like time is a quantum phenomenon that we experience because of that sort of picking and choosing between the two. But what I mean is, and bringing into this equation here, is that if that's the case, then if time is a human construct, then all that information is out there, the past, the present, and the future. Back to the Akashic Records for a second. Then surely there's a way to tap into this. And how do we becomes the question, as you're kind of delving into here. It seems like we've had a sniff of this on and off for centuries, for thousands of years even. And I think maybe we're onto something. I don't know.
Yeah. It's wacky. And like, but the reason for the veil and the reason for how these things work, and like the channeling and the Galactic Federation, all that kind of stuff. So Roddenberry getting the channeled ideas and the seance of the Council of Nine to give him the idea for the Galactic Federation and the idea for Star Trek that seeded so many things that happened in actual science. And so provided the framework for actual technological advancements that might actually lead us to becoming part of a Galactic Federation that can then go out and seed ideas to other. For all we know, like the eventuality point is like we become another Council of Nine that's then channeled by some other planet that makes the same thing happen. That these veils are in place for like a reason. They're like, you don't, like the stomach or like the like pancreas doesn't need like all of the information. It needs only what the pancreas needs to make the body work. You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe that's kind of what's happening here. I'm trying. I don't know. It makes sense. But like so is this basically what I'm talking about? Is this what we're seeing? Is just us understanding basically from inside the brain or inside the body how neurons send messages, like to communicate to cells in the body, or like to communicate throughout the body cosmic, like the human body or the body cosmic. So like if radio waves as these kind of like as like DNA activations or as like instruction, like this is what I needed to like be home and be able to like Google for, because I'm not like well versed enough on how like DNA works or how like the cell activation works and like that type of stuff. So I did like real quick searches of like, how does a cell work? How does a cell transmit information from one cell to the next? How does a brain send information and like encode it into the cells? Or how does cell activation work? What is it made out of? And it's like, it's hormones, like hormones that like activate neurons and like through carrier proteins and these type of things. And which is like via plasma, which is like, activation. So I just real quick Google. Activation of gene transcription is kicked off when proteins called transcription factors bind to two key parts of the DNA, an enhancer and a promoter. Gene activation occurs when a stimulation, normally a physical biological element, stimulates the natural proteins that are part of the genetic materials of the cells, and thus turning off the genes on or off. During initiation, the so-called initiator proteins bind to the replication origin. Yada yada. This binding triggers events that unwind the DNA. Basically, like these hormones. I mean, these like regulated via the plasma, like information regulated via plasma provides the information for like cell activation, or for like that's how like the organs know what to do. And so if like there's the monad you're talking about earlier, or like or in octopus at the center of the galaxy, whatever, regulating, controlling the entire body cosmic. You know, I mean, moving, like regulating what ideas we get. Like, where do ideas come from? This whole process, and when are they given? When this thing wants to, via this process. I mean, the same way the brain sends signals to the cells and that type of stuff. And like specifically the way this information, this dark matter, interacting with the this plasma ionosphere, makes me think of like cell membrane. So like also called the plasma membrane. Like it regulates information, what comes in and out of the cell. And that's what this is. It's a plasma membrane that regulates what information comes in and out of the cell of the Earth. And like we're perceiving that because it's what we can see as radio waves. But for all we know, this is happening all of the time, always. This is just what is going on. This is just how the body cosmic is regulating the body, which we're part of. You mean? Am I losing you, or just
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's
losing you, like boring you, not like
no.
No,
Not boring me at all. The whole I think it gets deep. This gets incredibly deep because there are layers to this, as Matthew was saying earlier with the onion and this type of bit. And so if you, like you said, the mind, the brain is the larger construct of the universe itself. It mirrors, okay? And I was just reading on plasma while you're talking about this too. Yeah. And so they say that plasma is 99%, let me read this. It comprises over 99% of the visible universe. So we're talking that we're basically back to where you started, where we started tonight, where we always start, is there's the visible and there's the invisible. There's the tangible, there's the intangible. And in this case, we're talking plasma versus dark energy and dark matter and how this comes together. And man, yeah.
Specifically plasma as like carriers. I mean, plasma as the thing where the information is carrying salts, carrying enzymes, carrying water, carrying like the information, the nutrients, the hormones which the hormones and these proteins are the information. So it's like, it's different. It's not like a radio wave or whatever. But again, this is science trying to understand these processes using only the scene, like using only, like understanding only the physical processes of it or whatever. So it's like, but information being carried throughout the body via this plasma, the same way like that neuron picture of the universe, the way it looks like the neurons firing in the brain is like this dark matter interaction in the universe. It's like that information carried around the universe, and then to each organ. Which I'm trying to wrap it up. I knew this was going to be a mess to try to like explain. So just real quick, I asked the AI like compare the human body and like plasma in the universe, and how how cells in the, I forget what I prompted, but how information is exchanged within the body with like dark matter in the universe, basically. And then it explains communication within the body, and then it explains communication with dark matter in the universe, basically as just as dark matter is invisible and its presence is inferred by its effects on invisible matter, the communication networks within the body are often invisible, e.g. electrical symbols, hormone pathways, but essentially for maintaining homeostasis and overall health. For long-range interactions, again, these dark matter is thought to interact with normal matter through gravity, influencing galaxy rotation curves, large-scale structure. Similarly, hormone signaling and neurotransmitters have long-range effects, influencing cells, distant cells, and organs. Regulation of balance. Dark matter is believed to play a crucial role in the formation and stability of galaxies. In the body, cell signaling and hormone regulation maintain balance and homeostasis, ensuring proper function and overall well-being. It's basically saying that what dark matter does in the universe is what is happening in the body with the information being exchanged between cells, specifically via plasma, which is exactly what this is. It's information reacting with plasma to provide instructions to us, to Earth, or to an organ of the body cosmic. And then I wanted to put the plasma in this specifically. A fascinating discovery: the interaction between dark matter and plasma in the Earth's ionosphere, generating radio waves, Oh, yes. So I basically explained what you said. I said there's a scientist just figured out that dark matter in the universe is interacting with plasma in the ionosphere and creating radio waves. Compare that to how information is moving across the body, the human body, and basically like dark matter influenced comparison neurotransmitters and synapses. Synapses release neurotransmitters which interact with receptors and adjacent neurons, transmitting signals across synapses, much like dark matter influencing plasma. Electrical impulses, ion channels, hormone signaling, and blood plasma. Hormones like radio waves travel through the blood plasma to reach their target cells, influencing various body structures. Cell signaling and parallels influence. Dark matter's influence on how plasma is reminiscent of how reminiscent of how neurotransmitters and hormones interact with their target cells, triggering responses. Plasma and radio waves serve as a medium for dark matter's influence, just as neurotransmitters, hormones, and biological signals are the medium for communication with the body. It's the same friggin' thing. I mean, and like synapses, what's a synapse? Like, what's the definition of a synapse? Or communication between neurons occurs in tiny gaps called synapses. They're gaps. They're like the dark matter space. In that, if you just look up dark matter universe image, Google Images, put it up, it looks exactly like neurons in the brain. And it's like these synapses are the empty spots, are the dark matter spots. It's like working exactly the same. It's like blowing me away, to be honest. I wish I had a more clear way to explain it. I wish I was like not working and like trying to make sense of it. But like, I think it's like tripping me out, you know? And then like, so, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely something to this. Like as you know, like I also give myself an hour and a half, couple hours to put these shows together, and there's only so much you can kind of get to conceptually, because so much ends up falling off the plate, just that we don't get to in terms of the write-up and things, but also like more rabbit holing. I mean, yeah, I'm with you 100% here. When I found this one, my mind was a little bit blown, and I like when you start to take it to these other extremes or examples. I think there's a ton here. I think there's way more here than we can do in just one night.
And that's like huge. That's like almost looking at like almost looking at the monad as like a body and then zooming in from there. I mean, so then like if you get down to where we are, we're like the microorganisms inside of an organ, or like the building block, like the mitochondria, these things inside the cell, like getting the job done, like performing these processes. We don't know what their vantage. From all we know, they think that the human body. They each think the human body is 13.8 billion years old. They have tell myths about how we were born and our origin and all this kind of stuff. There was all of a sudden there was light and a scream and we got slapped, like the big slap, like by the doctor. I mean, in a mat, like, and it's just like they could like that, like this as kind of understanding the process of neurons firing like in the brain, like throughout the universe, is like the outer layer, but then as you zoom in, you get to like the reasons why these things are happening. It's understanding the Rube Goldberg machine mechanism of it all. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the archons puppeting us to build archons. It's these things aren't happenstance. Like the gifting part of it. It's like the gifting isn't just like some independent sentient thing that's like just, let me just like throw some fairy dust on this civilization and see what happens or whatever. Let me just mess around. It's like it's mechanistic. It's the body. This is like it was time. It was time to send this next message out so the organ can do this, which can get to it. Like, you know what I mean? And like I'm not doing a good job explaining it, but it's like I think we can layer this idea going forward over like a lot of what we talk about and going backwards of a lot of what we have talked about.
Yeah,
I'll leave
exactly.
this to people behind you, behind me, but I hope that made some kind of fucking sense. Sorry for
you're good. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Thank you, bro. Thank you. It just seemed like it was. I knew it was gonna be a mess, and it's just. All right, sorry, bro.
It's not. Yeah, you're gonna be pleased when you go back and listen. Yeah, absolutely fire as usual.
Later, bro. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the call. That's Derek in Massachusetts. You know him, you love him. The Night Stalker. This is the thing, right? Like this is one of those sort of. I think. Look, we've talked about. Here's the thing regarding dark matter. We've talked a ton about dark matter. We've talked a ton about independently plasma, okay, even as being sentient, and dark matter as well, and sort of the different shows, different capacities, right? But this is sort of that moment where something kind of explodes in your head, at least for me, when I thought about this, and I think the same thing's happening with Derek, and I hope it's happening with you guys out there as well, is that if you combine the two of these things, and we're saying, oh, by the way, theoretically now we may be able to pick up radio waves when dark matter collides with plasma in some capacity, even in our atmosphere, in the ionosphere. And then I took that the next step and thought, okay, what about the heliosphere? Surely there's going to be latent plasma in the space of the solar system. So it's like this information coming in, and it needs to hit the plasma in some capacity to decode the radio waves that we then hear. Now think about it, Superman style with the blue. What was it? Do they have a blue sun or a yellow sun or a red sun? I don't even know, right? But the yellow sun, he came here and he became a superhero. But back home with the red sun, whatever it was, he was not. And so I do wonder if there's different plasmas will unlock different information. Anyway, lots of things here, lots of things to this. I have no idea. What's up? Miss Puff Puff says Mike's a heliosexual. That could be true. What's up? I see the chat. Yeah, I'm reading the chat. Yeah, you guys aren't free anymore. I'm reading the chat. All right. We got Jen coming up in Missouri, and your calls as well. We're talking about, I'm calling this expanding the veil. Oceans of dark matter radio waves. Oh, by the way, follow the Night Stalker. I was too busy riffing on what he said and still thinking about his points there. Derek the Night Stalker, you know him, you love him, and a good friend for a long time, the official synchro mystic of Troubled Minds, and clearly blowing everybody's brain up, including mine. Give him a follow. Links in the description down below, troubledminds.org/friends. It says follow the Night Stalker here. Please do that. He has a YouTube channel. It's completely free. Just go follow that. Leave him a nice comment. I know many of you have, so thank you for that. And yeah, lots of things on my mind tonight as part of this, and answers few, questions many, but it seems like the dark matter plasma interaction might be, well, I don't know, the keys to a lot of things. I don't know. Again, I'm not the arbiter of any truth, barely my own, and certainly not a cosmic truth. However, this new theory made my tinfoil tingle, and it happens often, but not like tinfoil tingle enough to give me a headache. See what I did there? But it's kind of a massive thing. If this is true, imagine we're able to sort of detect radio waves, which might be whispers from the monad, whispers from the universe, the backbone of the universe itself. How wild would that be? And what if it's like binary code, except it's trinary code, or bigger than that? It's like, I don't know. This would be mathematically, I don't know, bigger than a word I can even conceive of. In any case, we're talking about expanding the veil tonight. Oceans of dark matter, radio waves when it actually meets plasma. What do you know about it? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll be right back. We got Jen in Missouri, and your calls coming up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Tonight, we're talking about expanding the veil. Now, new science and a scientific model suggests, again, unproven as of yet, as, well, that's good enough for me. As of yet is good enough for me, but unproven as of yet. Oceans of dark matter radio waves, I'm calling this, and they're saying that dark matter, when it interacts with plasma, might emit barely detectable radio waves. Now, I thought, well, wouldn't that be the whispers of the universe trying to tell us something that maybe, just maybe, we're already picking up in some capacity or multiple capacities? Look, we've heard about channeling, mediumship, we've heard about synchronicities and all kinds of things that you can't even really quantify in the largest sense. However, I do wonder if this is something that we are actually picking up on in subtle ways that actually guide us to a particular place or space. And I don't mean not just individually, I mean as a society, as a globe, as a global whole, as a global society. I don't know. It's weird to consider, weird to think about, but if there is something out there that kind of is the backbone of information and we're tapped into it some way, it seems like the light and the dark coming together is the key. back to that old mythological trope, right? So much here. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Thanks for being patient. Let's go to Jen in Missouri. What is going on? How are you tonight? You're on Troubled Minds, and go right ahead. And we'll get some takes from James too as well. I see you, James. I forgot because my head is what it is. So Jen, you're on Troubled Minds. How you doing? Go right ahead. All right, we'll get to Jen in a sec as we're working out tech issues. As you know, live shows, this type of stuff does happen. James, anything on that while we're waiting for Jen? Sorry, I forgot about you. That's not my way, but I'm not my best these days. but as I laugh at myself. But go right ahead. What do you got? And we'll get Jen on here in a sec.
Yeah, no worries. Great calls from everyone. I just put in the chat there. I wonder what this means for that whole other show a while ago that you did on the idea of like a shadow biome as of the energy, the dark matter and energy being sort of possibly the source of or somehow connected to shadow entities. And how
Ooh. Okay.
oh, there we go.
We hear you.
How that all fits in.
Yeah, that shadow biome is a wild one, which just came up again recently on Twitter X. Somebody was talking about that directly. Yeah, James, you want to finish your thought? If you want to go ahead. We hear you, Jen. Hang tight 1 sec.
Yeah, I think that was it. Just I wonder where that fits in, if there's a connection or not, or if this, happens sometimes. Sometimes one idea will sort of maybe make another idea less likely, or I don't know how that works. But I was just thinking, I wonder how that all fits in, if it does at all. So that was it.
Well said. Thank you. You're the best. Go ahead, Jen. Thanks for updating the Discord. I think that was a problem. Maybe not. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? Go
I
right
had
ahead.
to update it. I was checking to see if it worked, to see if there was any sound, but it was an update. That's all it was.
All good. Welcome to the joint. What are your theories here? What are your thoughts? Is this a wild one? I think we're out on a cosmic limb, as I call this. But as I always say, we're out on a limb for sure. But this one's a cosmic limb, and it's thin as hell. However, it seems like there might be a glimmer of truth somewhere in here. What do you think?
Yeah, there is, I think. I mean, let's just think about this. You have the state of energy and matter. So, for one thing, we have to go back to that. To try to understand it. It's all scientific stuff. It's all of that, which can be alienating to these ideas. It is. I had to do a lot of clicking and searching and thinking about this to even form an idea about what could be going on with it, because it's got a lot to do with what it all means. What is it? So when you're thinking about, energy and matter itself, creating a foundation with that alone. Well, okay, so the concept of the Big Bang, Mike, the whole idea, if that is real, if that is a real idea, and all of these foundations of ideas, they come from people before us who have done a lot of work, and most of them, the Big Bang, it comes out of a religious context. It comes from the Catholic Church, the Big Bang Theory and CERN and a lot of our science. People in the past have been seeking to understand these truths for thousands of years. And they've been carrying all this information with them for us now, that we even formulate the basis of all of our science. The concept of memory being important. So right now we're trying to understand the fundamental basis of what memory even is, or, could matter exist without, basically, that's what you're saying, essentially. Does energy carry the memory, or is it a form of matter? I think is what you're getting at.
Yeah, I think so. And is it sort of a when these elements combine? Basically, we're talking about the positive and negative aspects of the universe. When they combine, does it unlock that information? Yeah, you're spot on.
Well, memory. Okay, so there is no new matter. There is no new energy. Some kind of delusion. There's I mean, if you're thinking about scientifically, if we want to believe that there's a scientific basis in things, there is no new anything. It's the same amount of matter and energy since the beginning of the Big Bang. So there is no new anything. There's not something making new energy. There is not something making new matter. Things are new, but it's the same amount, it's the same stuff over and over again. So, I mean, the very basis of that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well,
that alone is mind-boggling. The fact that everything we see, all the energy we're using has been used before by other living things and are made up of things before them. It's the same amount, just reformed again. So when we're thinking about that, but memory is something completely unique in this state. Memory being captured in material, in matter, and in energy, it's like it is a type of something to itself. So, but there is no new matter and there is no new energy. I mean, that's important to make note of right away. There is no new matter making machine, and there is no new energy making machine. We are using the same energy and the same matter and all of its capacities over in plasma and everything. It's the same stuff over and over again in a vacuum, essentially. That's what existence is for us. And the question is, I mean, they are interlinked, and one energy can't express itself and cannot be experienced. Energy can't be experienced without matter. They are linked. And it's the same matter and the same energy. That's physics. That's what that is. But when you think about the idea of memory, that's something unique, you know. The ability for experience of energy in matter to store some context, memory being itself alone, if we can imagine that as something that is of itself unique and essential for existence, requires the idea that there's some intelligence, that the energy and matter itself can matter exist without consciousness? Is matter conscious? I think that matter could be a way to store memory of energy, because if you didn't have a way to store the experience of the energy expressing itself as a material form, there'd be no reason and no possibility of what we consider to be existence and experience. So when you're thinking about it that way, that matter is necessary for energy to have any significance, it has to exist through matter, but memory is the medium that is carrying it as to remind it of what it has been, because it's reusing itself indefinitely.
But means, if it doesn't, sorry, just real quick, which means that energy itself is memory. I guess eternally memory, because we're doing that sort of circular business of always recycling it, as you said, but it's the same medium of consciousness itself. And so I don't know, it becomes mind-boggling. That's a fact.
You think that memory is energy. But energy, okay, memory is a form of matter. The brain, when it experiences a memory, it is actually a type of matter. I mean, it's not just energy. The energy is in several forms to itself. You have nuclear energy, you have, thermal energy, you have these different states. For example, a wave, the idea of a wave. If you think about water, it doesn't have a wave without the energy that starts it. That's the concept of a vibration, you know. In the case of what is a radio wavelength, it's based out of the idea of a sound, you know. So they're so distinctively different, these two states, but in that state there is something different that is like a god unto itself. The ability for in those mediums something else is retaining the experience of energy in matter. And that is somehow it's more like matter, but it's like the union of the two, of matter and energy uniting. And that creates memory. The memory of the energy when it experienced matter, but it's like an existing thing to itself somehow.
I love it. It's I do especially appreciate as an audio guy the sound flowing through the atmosphere. Right, it needs a medium. It needs so sound. We're told in a vacuum doesn't exist whatsoever. However, once you kind of put it in an atmosphere, then that energy or the vibration, the frequency that rolls through, then suddenly becomes perceptible to the meat suit experience and other experiences, not just the meat suit, but sonic booms and things like this certainly could do some damage if placed properly. I don't know, wild stuff. Yeah, this one's probably a little bit too big for my brain, to be perfectly honest. Not just
No, I
what
think
you're
it's
saying.
super simple, I think it's super simple. The idea that everything we are seeing, everything, and everything we are moving with, all of the energy of everything, it's not new. It's the same. It's like when you take the same amount of clay and you make it into several different things. And then, like in your body, say you make a clay whistle. And in your body, you have the same amount of energy to blow wind through it. There's no new anything. It's the same amount of everything. The same amount of material matter and the same amount of energy. But the only issue is that with the Big Bang idea, at least in this context, is that it's expanding. And the more that it expands, what if it becomes dissipated or it becomes so spread apart or something like that? With an expanding universe, that's the idea. Is that if it's expanding away from itself, could the energy and the matter, could they become useless? More and more useless? Were they more concentrated at some point? And what does that imply? But memory, being a separate entity, was or is the experience of something that's retained through energy experiencing matter for millennia. That's what memory is, The memory is like when humans experience memory. It's our bodies, for example, they turn over new things and your body regenerates itself every 7 years or so. The cells do, but it's the same amount of matter. Your body is not, there's nothing new coming. I think that's just really important to realize that there is no new anything. This is the same. If you go back 200 billion years ago, 300, 800, 8 trillion years ago, if you want to talk about time, it's the same stuff. We are using the same matter that was used then to make ourselves. And we are using the same energy that was used then. But the memory itself is something unique. It was the experience of energy, or energy stored in that matter, so to speak. And then the idea of, does matter have memory? Is your house, is it conscious? The idea of panpsychism is that all matter is conscious, but the issue is it merely there as a restorium of the energy, that it had the experience there? It's not conscious, yet it's storing memory of the energy as it interacted with the matter. That memory is a unique thing.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And that so everything's sort of absorbing this resonant energy, but then also at some point when it turns over, becomes plasma, recycles it. And plasma, of course, which I'm going to ask you about.
It's a state of matter.
Is a state of matter. Let me ask you real quick about plasma after I read this super fast thing. Plasma is superheated matter so hot that electrons are ripped away from the atoms, forming an ionized gas. It comprises over 99% of the visible universe. I should have started here tonight. In the night sky, plasma glows in the form of stars, nebulas, and even the auroras that sometimes ripple above the north and south poles. That branch of lightning that cracks the sky is plasma. So are the neon signs along our streets, and so is our sun, the star that makes life on Earth possible. Now, what do you think the role of plasma is in this sort of larger cosmic, maybe unlocking of the two things coming together? Or do you think it's, as you said, far more simple? Like I said, my brain is blown, and I'm so far off the rails at this point. Personally, I'm like, because I want to take 100 detours for every 3 sentences I say. So I'm a little bit maybe leveling myself, as I call it. But what's your take on the plasma bit?
A radio wave, is a sound, vibration. And light, those are different. Radio waves and light spectrum, there's a difference there, isn't there? So, dark matter, you can't see it. It's an invisible spectrum. But we can only see it because we can tell it's there because it's interacting with the matter around it. It's interacting with all of the atoms and all of it's interacting with that. But so we're aware that something is happening, but we can't see it. We can't detect it. That's why they're calling it dark matter. That's why it's a secret or something. It's something, there's something there, and we can tell it, but we don't know what it is. But there's something there, and that's how we're detecting it, is that it's interacting with other matter. Dark matter is invisible. To us as humans, we don't know how it's there. And a radio wave is not the same as a sound wave. They are different. Light and sound. The way that light is, and plasma is plasma is a state of matter. It's simply one of the states of matter. What was your question? Go back to that.
It was just plasma. So regarding you're good. Regarding plasma in this context, because the dark matter, they're saying that when the two things come together in a space, theoretically, it's going to generate radio waves that we might, and this is me extrapolating, might be able to decode. And so the question to me was, and I'm probably making it harder than it has to be, what will we hear? I guess would be the question. Like what kind of information would we get? Is it sort of like the number station cosmically of the Akashic record, kind of like doing ... dash to us, and we're always picking up on this information all the time, and then suddenly it becomes prevalent enough to pick up and actually start to decode directly? I don't know. I mean, maybe we're talking the Matrix. Go ahead.
Plasma is here. It's not some type of etheric thing. It's okay. Plasma, the idea that, okay, in the mythology, right? Like, okay, the jinn or these entities or anything, they are real because they are made up of matter. Plasma is real. It's not made up. It's not some fantasy. It's an existent thing. When energy is moving through plasma, because energy is not plasma, though you see lightning and you think the lightning itself is, this life force. Plasma is a state of matter, but the energy, the force moving through plasma makes that lightning, which is so terrifying and incredible. It can freeze time, literally, in other matter. It's unbelievable. And the same thing happens in the human body. We have plasma within ourselves interacting, but these entities too that we think about, they are made up of plasma, but they are also energized by energy and matter. Think about that. Just two is simple enough. Energy and matter. No new, same old energy and matter, never changing. There's no new matter. There's no new energy. So the idea of these, for example, plasma energies, plasma deities or entities or ghosts or anything you want to imagine, they are existing in a state of matter if they are made of plasma. But the concept of the energy experiencing itself through the medium of plasma, and then the idea that you cannot see dark matter, but that there's an interaction of experience. Makes me want to cuss about it because trying to
You're good. You're good.
Because-
You're totally good. It is. I think sometimes, personally, I have a big problem trying to make simple simple concepts into something quite a bit larger than they are.
No,
right?
it is super simple. It's not. It's obviously a conundrum, right?
Yeah. I think both things play here for sure. I think conceptually it's incredibly simple because we're talking about, again, back to the duality of creation. We're talking about sort of fire meets void, right? And then as this kind of fits into a larger context of scientifically the whispers of the universe itself, that's the part that kind of creeps me out a little bit. Is it going to be possible to decode, let's say, like the
I think that's important.
dash
Like,
of
what are we really
synchronicity?
wanting to know? What are we really wanting to know about it? Are we trying to figure out, does the world around us have consciousness? More importantly, does it contain memory? Are we a continuing memory of all of the experiences of energy that make us alive? Do we contain all of that memory? Yes, without a doubt. Are we conscious, awake to the memory of it? I think some of that could be subconscious, acting through matter. But the matter is a storage of memory. That maybe the matter only exists as like a offspring of energy and matter interacting, but it may be the objective. Because if there's no memory, there's no purpose for anything, and there's no consciousness, awakeness, without those being married, so to speak. you know.
Yeah, well
But
said.
plasma is matter. I mean, we shouldn't differentiate because all the states of matter are the same. They're equal across the board, and they're expressing themselves only through the energy moving through them, through the waves, through the force of that. But with one, they both exist without the other, but they don't have experience alone. You know?
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. All of it. I think the ideas and flows of consciousness and that part is probably the most important bit here. And like you said, the
Memory in
recycling
the
of energy.
brain is
Memory,
it's a state to itself. It's not just an energy. I mean, having memory, if you have memory is not, it's something in the synapses. Memory is something unique to itself. The experience of energy through matter is unique to itself. It's even there are gods and goddesses named after memory, as with all states of existence for humanity, and these secrets are locked before us because, like I say, I think it's important to remember that this is not new. We are reusing. Like they were reusing 300 million years ago, or whatever you want to think. I mean, it's the same amount is the concept that we've understood. We're finding new states of all of these things, but it's the same. It's just repeating myself, But anyway,
But that's okay. Hey, that's okay because we're talking information and energy and memory, which recycles itself. So we're totally good repeating ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same, which is just hard to believe. It's obviously new, but that's because of the memory, which seems to be something unique to itself. That the energy relating with matter, that it's sustaining something unique to itself, that makes the consciousness, that is the energy uniting with matter, believe it's been here before and that it knows what it's doing. And it's all connected by some type of intelligence that is obviously beyond human understanding of any kind.
Which becomes
not even close.
Exactly. Which that part becomes a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time because
that we're all working towards, obviously. That the world is working towards trying to understand just as well. Which kudos to to humans. At the same time, maybe it's our downfall, trying to figure something out that we will never understand. Never.
100%. You want a synchronicity, Jen? Real quick before you go here. You sent me a link talking about what was it? In Greek mythology, how do you say it? Is it Nemesine? Is that how you say the name?
Yeah, Nemi.
Yeah. Matt's all in the chat just now typed there was a
silent
Titan,
M.
A Titan after a memory named Nemesine.
And I sent you panemism. Panemism is a kind of an argument to panpsychism. I think would be she's the goddess. She's the mother of the 9 muses. Nemi is the goddess of memory in Greek mythology, and she's the mother of the 9 muses. And she's where we get the word memory from. And panemism is another theory besides panpsychism that we should discuss sometime in the future.
Put it in your back pocket. We'll definitely get back to all this stuff at some point. Amazing stuff as always.
Mike, it's my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Today.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Happy birthday to Jen. Everybody,
thank you very much.
Happy birthday wishes to Jen. Thank you.
I love your show, Mike.
Thank you.
And you have a great night.
Thanks for spending your time and energy with us. Best of birthdays to many more, and thank you so much for being you.
I'm glad you were on tonight. I love listening to the show.
Thank you.
When I get a day off or time off.
Right on. I feel you.
Have a great night.
Amazing call. Thank you so much. That's the Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer. You love her, a good friend for a long time, and brilliant as always. And yeah, happy birthday, Jen. Thanks for spending your birthday time with us, precious birthday time. Maybe there's some magic there. Maybe we got some magic happening. Everybody reach out to Jen. Happy birthday wishes. And also give her a follow. The Arcane Observer is the name of her show. You can find it, of course. Search it that way. As far as I know, the last time I checked, she's the only The Arcane Observer on the interwebs, which is wild to me because you figured there'd be more than that, because this is such a great name is what I mean. But also check it out. Link's going to be in the description down below, troubledminds.org/friends. It says follow Jennifer here. Go follow her on Twitter, X, and all the places, and do check out her YouTube show. And she's here on the network with us as well, and amazing stuff, being part of the conversation. And yeah, holy smokes, there's a lot happening tonight. Again, thank you. I don't know, do we work in a birthday synchronicity? Maybe. I'm not even sure how this fits, but crazy good that Matt sniffed out what Jen was up to and was talking about. So Jen sent me these links before we started tonight. She sent me the links like 30 minutes before she called. She's like, here's a couple things, and then she waited, and then she called, and then Matt Zell said it. Mnemosyne. Let me read this real quick. So in Greek mythology and ancient Greek religion, Mnemosyne is the goddess of memory and the mother of the 9 muses by her nephew Zeus. In the Greek tradition, Mnemosyne is one of the Titans, the 12 divine children of the earth goddess Gaia and the sky god Uranus, or Uranus, if you're into that. The term Mnemosyne is derived from the same source of the word mnemonic. That being the Greek word mnemi, which means remembrance or memory. Yeah, wild stuff. Seems like a lot of us are on the same page here in terms of the larger context of what all this stuff is. And this is the wild part about all of this, by the way, to me, is that all of this traces back to ancient times. Every bit of this. If I spent, I don't know, twice as long preparing these shows, I'm nearly certain every bit of everything we talk about could be traced back to ancient times. Now, how crazy and amazing and bizarre is that? And that becomes the old punch you in the face moment when you start to realize, as Jen said very smartly, that all this energy is recycled anyway. And how do you, continue? I don't know. And I was thinking about this, and this is the knucklehead in me. They call it the redneck in me. I'm not really a redneck, but you know what I mean. I did spend some time in the country shooting guns when I was young. Shout out, Grandpa. You're the best. Rest in peace. But however, regarding the old, I lost my thoughts here. Just thinking about Grandpa. What is it? What was I going to say? It was something good. It was something really good. See, Ricky, it happens to every one of us. I had something good to say. It was rednecks shooting guns. It was okay. So shooting guns, you're shooting at like beer cans or whatever. Okay, like pew, and shooting beer cans all down on a log. You know, Grandpa teaching you how to shoot when you're like 8 or 7 or whatever, right? Like pew, here's your .22 rifle, kid, go get it. So they go stack the beer cans up on the log, and you pew shoot them down, and you're like yeah, right, and then. But I was thinking, and so of course to bring it all the way back around, because it does make some sense here. So Jen was talking, this stuff is energy is recycled. So what was that beer can before it? And that, let's think of it this way: did that beer can that I shot pew pew when I was 7 eventually get dropped in a recycling center? And maybe, just maybe, I'm not drinking out of a can right now, but if I was drinking out of a can, maybe it's the same can that I pew-pewed when I was 7. Who knows, right? Like, who really knows? But there you go. There's the redneck story and the circular motion of recycling energy. And basically my point was, would that can remember and be mad at me in some capacity? Of course, it's an abstract, ridiculous thought, but you get it. So recycling is not just a scam. It's also a cosmic conundrum. Sorry, did I say scam? I meant a well-intentioned scam. And a cosmic conundrum. Anyway, James, anything on that?
Just wanted to say, in case it didn't come through, happy birthday to Jen. Great call as always. And man, Mike, what did that can ever do to you? I mean, geez.
It was empty, man. Like my cup runneth over is my actual motto in life. I try and be that way all the time. And that damn beer can, when I was 7, it went empty. So we shot it, James.
Oh, well, Yeah, I'm sure you were thinking all about that at 7, with that beer can being.
Well, you didn't ask me when I was 7. You asked me when I'm 29.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm sure there's a lot of beer cans out there that have probably varying thoughts about all of us.
Yeah,
And how
that's
we
a
treat
good
them.
point. Yeah, absolutely. Regarding any of this, I know you've been sitting there for a long time. Thank you for that. As usual, the glue of the show, as I always say, and that's the fact. Anything on what anybody else said before we wrap this and have a nice week off? Just a reminder, real quick. I am taking the week off. Going to work on this ergonomic stuff. Like I said, I got some things working, and trust me, it is a muscular thing. It's nothing else. It's ergonomics. It's stress. So I'll figure some stuff out, but I just need some time off to rest because I don't think battling through it at this point is going to do us any good. It's kind of like, shout out baseball fans, you kind of got to go on the disabled list for a minute, kind of work it out, rest, do some rehab, and then come back strong as ever. So just a reminder, there will be no Troubled Minds for the rest of this week, possibly next week. I'll let you guys know. But about me, I've done this a couple times, probably gone sabbatical, 4 or 5 times in 6 years, and I can't stay away long. There's just too many amazing ideas that draw me back. But I always tell everybody else, hey, take care of yourself first. And so in this case, I have to take my own advice. And so I'm going to just take at least a week, maybe 2, and then we'll go from there. And I'll let you guys know. If you haven't joined the Discord yet, please do that. troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Come say hi. Come meet all these amazing people that are part of the show. Many of them are active on Discord, and they're quite a bit more just incredible and impressive people than you find here on the show, because I'm a boorish braggart, talky guy, but the depth of these human beings is incredible. Come meet them, please. Come see what just amazing people they are. I've been blessed to make so many great friends as part of this show. So troubledminds.org, click the Discord link, come say hi, and that's where you'll get your updates on when the next Troubled Mind show is and how I'm feeling and how it's coming. I'll drop all that stuff in there. Follow me on Twitter X. That's going to be at troubledmindsr, and the updates will be there as well. Anyway, James, just as a quick PSA, as I interrupted you, go right ahead, sir. What else you got regarding this or anything else? Go right ahead.
There's so much. Loved all the calls. I do wonder again. I mean, the whole idea of that micro to macro and just all the levels of all that that Derek brought up there is just that. All I can say about that is that's amazing. I don't know what else to say. Although I wonder if there are these macro shadow areas, these larger parts of space that are dark energy or dark matter. Does that mean there are those same levels of that in the human in minds and in organic material? Is there shadow everywhere in one way or another? And is that at any time sentient? Is that where, I mean, here's an idea, is that where sentience comes from? Is that where we come from? Is the shadows?
I love it, James. You just I'm making a note. You just inspired a new show. I don't have you on headphones though, so if I'm awkwardly interrupting you guys, that's why. So I just took the headphones off. They're hanging on the microphone stand right now, and I just popped up the volume. So anyway, just real quick, and then it's all yours. So I do wonder. We've talked about plasma as a sentient entity. As you're describing, you just inspired a show. I wonder if the shadow itself, the duality of that creation, the shadow is also a sentient entity. Brilliant, James.
Well, and I was thinking too, I forget who mentioned it, but the idea of, there's that whole duality again of staring into the abyss versus staring into the sun. Both can be bad depending on how long you do it, supposedly. At least for the abyss. For the sun, I mean, it's going to hurt your eyes. Don't do that. But then what are you looking into when you're looking into the sun? Is that sentient? Is it not? And then, of course, so there's these parallels here. We seem to be in the middle of everything, in a way, but still connected to everything. And not saying that's we're more important. We just seem to be in the middle, and consciousness seems to be in the middle of everything. So, but yeah, I wonder about the shadow thing just because of how much there is out there in terms of anomalous events with shadows and different shaped shadows and shape changing shadows, apparitions that just seem to be just blobs of shadow that move around, and from small to human size to everything in between. So, and that's that at that scale. I wonder what is out there, going smaller and larger, in space as well.
Amen. Amen. Well said. Fire stuff as always, James. I appreciate it very much. And that's the point of this is, look, I know also some of the criticisms I get, and it's not a lot, by the way. I don't get a lot. It's you talk too much and you talk in circles too much, right? But hold on, though. If we're recycling energy, then talking in circles is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Am I right? At some point, that's exactly the point. So it's okay, meaning that sort of the monomyth of Joseph Campbell, the idea of all these pantheons just kind of recurring throughout history. There's a reason for these circular things, I think, and that's why it's okay. It's okay to kind of revisit and bring these ideas up and talk in circles a little bit. Because, of course, notice when you have the truth, it's easy to just say, I have the truth, and then say the truth, however you perceive it. Except, of course, it's only your truth. It's not the truth, is it? I mean, go tune into a bunch of terrible political shows. There's a lot of them out there. They'll tell you the truth. But is it the truth? You know better than that. You're smarter than that. Of course it's not. Of course it's not. Let's wrap it, James. Anything else to add before we wrap this and take some time off here?
Just that in regards to everything I just said, you noticed I sort of posed it all as questions. And that's because I don't know the answers to any of those questions. So, yeah, definitely fits into that discussion as well. Especially when it comes to memory, because next time you do a show, I'll have forgotten probably half of what I said or more. So, but yeah, hopefully, best of luck with all the stuff that you have to do. Take care of your neck and your head there, Mike, and get well. And looking forward to whenever you are able to come back and talking to you on Discord in general between now and then.
Right on. Appreciate it very much. You are the best, and yeah, that's a fact. Let's get the hell out of here. Like I said, I'm in no danger, guys. This is not like I got a terrible diagnosis or something. It's literally just a look it up if you're interested. It's called a migraine muscle, and if you tweak it ever so slightly and stress builds up, my posture is terrible, mostly because I sit in a car most of the day, and then I come home and try and stand up as part of this, and I have to swing back and forth with my head like a T-Rex looking for prey. And it's bad on your neck, all of that. So that's all it is. So it's not, I'm not dipping out as a dire diagnosis just to alleviate any concerns. It's not like that. It just literally, I need rest and some physical therapy and some stretching and stuff, and not doing this over and over again. So anyway, that's that. Just as a actual what's happening. I'm not fibbing here. As I've always said, honesty is literally one of my downfalls. Like the true honesty is one of my downfalls. I wish I could lie to people more easily. It's difficult for me. But anyway, so let's wrap it. Let's get the hell out of here. If you guys want to help Troubled Minds, just real quick before I start the music here, don't forget that the deal is this, that many of you maybe found us a year ago. Many of you found us 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Okay? Fantastic. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you so much for all your time and energy and your listening and caring and all the rest. But also, there's going to be some shows out there you missed. As I always say, I'm the only one who's listened to all of them because I was here for all of them. I'm literally the only one. I'm nearly certain. If you think you've listened to every Troubled Mind show ever, I don't know. Let's throw you a party or something, because I really doubt it. Only because the first few were nobody listening, and then we've had people kind of come and go. And my point is that if you want to help Troubled Minds while we're out, where we're kind of taking some time off, is to go listen to some of the old episodes, because I guarantee you there's going to be some nuggets. Let's say maybe a year before you found us or whatever, or 6 months or weeks or whatever it is, go back through the catalog, and there's going to be some things that fit into this conversation tonight. And not just that probably stack up maybe perfectly, nearly perfectly. I don't know if anything's ever perfect, but yeah, there's nearly 900 episodes on the podcast feed. If you want to help directly and pump as much ad revenue as possible to me while I'm out, I would appreciate that. Just go listen on Spreaker. Spreaker is the way. The link's in the description down below. It's right on top. And I get like a 10% boost on ad revenue. And please let the commercials play. If you skip them, I don't get paid. So, if it's all the same to you and you can listen to like 90 seconds of commercials, please do that. But it does help. And like I said, it's literally pennies. But if all of you do it, it becomes dollars, and then dollars spend, and I might go to a chiropractor. You know what I mean? So I'm not guilting anybody. I'm just saying like that type of stuff does play. And so thank you for that. If you want to help, that's the way to do it. Yeah, Frank was pretty cool. Yeah, Frank still is cool. Frank hasn't answered my emails in forever. Damn it, Frank. Frank, if you're out there listening, you son of a... we miss you, bro.
Calm down.
I know. All right. We'll get all jazzed up about that another time. So the deal is this, and by the way, my neck feels fine, my head feels fine. There's no problems right now. It's no problem whatsoever. And so that's the thing. So it kind of comes and goes like super fast. So if I'm in the middle of a sentence and you turn your head one way, boom, massive headache, massive neck ache, and then yeah. So I'm gonna be okay. It's just a matter of kind of working this out, doing some physical therapy and resting, and yeah. So that's that. Appreciate it very much. You guys are the best. Thanks for bearing with me as I struggle through the meat suit experience and recognizing I'm not at my best. And that's that. James, on you, or I'm smashing the button.
Just everyone take care. Great calls and great chat as always, and thank you as always for having me on with you as well, Mike.
Glad to have you, James. I'm honored to be here with you, fighting the battle of the modern energy recycling system. Here we go. Brothers, warriors, the brave 300 million or whatever. You're the best, James. Appreciate you very much. Give James a follow. Salcedo Paranormal. You know you love him. Good friend. All the rest of that. The paranormal expert of Troubled Minds. Brilliant guy. Go check out his books. Go do all the things. Links in the description. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Follow James here. Please do that. And yep. Taking a break here. So if you want to help, do it. Keep the same schedule. Just go back. And this is the best part, right? There's so many things back on that podcast feed. I can't even remember half of them. I'm amazed, by the way, when I kind of scroll through some of the old conversations we've had. Like, my jaw drops open. I'm like, holy crap, where did all this crap come from? And even things I don't remember. Yeah, well, go back and maybe do a little delving into where we came from, and you'll understand why we're as weird as we are tonight. If you want to be part of Troubled Minds, TroubledMinds.org/friends. It doesn't take much. Retweet us, spread the word, all the rest of that stuff. Let me know if you want to be on that list. If you have a social media you want to share or whatever, that's cool. It's all fine. I'm not trying to... It's an in club, not an out club. Just let me know. TroubledMindsRadio@gmail. You can reach me there. And, yeah. Turn that down a little bit. Probably loud because I can't tell. Headphones off. But, so that's the deal. TroubledMindsRadio@gmail. Send me a thing that says, hey, yeah, I've been spreading the word at work, or not at work, because don't do that, you'll get fired. But, out on the street, whatever, and I got a social media, or you've been retweeting, let me know. We'll put you on the list. We're not competing, we're collaborating, as I always say. So please do that, and you're on the list. It's as simple as that. Like, there's no gatekeeping here. You're on the list. It's as simple as that. But what else do we got? If you want to help Troubled Minds, help our friends. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Please help our friends. This is not about me. This is about us. This is about conversations among regular people about extraordinary things. And that reality might be quite a bit different when you talk to enough people. Notice when you sort of break down those barriers, things get weird, right? Things get weird. It's okay. But listen to the radio station while we're out. I will update all the new shows to be on the radio station. So if you missed new shows, recent shows, that's all going up and going to be caught up, all up to date. Most everybody else is. I take care of everybody else first on the radio station. James and Ricky and everybody else is putting up new shows. I put them up first, and so the Troubled Mind shows suffer, so sorry about that. But we do it live, so you get to hear them live. Shout out Puff Puff over on Rumble. Thank you for the generous tip. Feel better, Mike. Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's the deal, right? It's about take care of yourself so you can take care of others. I always say it, so I got to embody it. And what else? If you want to help Troubled Minds, links are in the description. I'm not going to ramble on about this. That's that. As we finish, what's up, Bobby Broadway in the chat? I see you, buddy. How you doing? We got NY Debs is here. Again, just a reminder, taking the week off, maybe 2, we'll see. And we'll see you very soon. Be well, do all the things. And as we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. We'll see you soon. As you know, I've taken several breaks during the course of 6+ years, and I come back faster than I ever imagined because there's so much amazing shit to talk about. So thank you guys for bringing me back every night. Thanks for all the support and all the positive vibes. I can't thank you enough for that. And I'm out of here. Let's get out of here, James. Anything to add before we dip?
Nope. Everyone take care.
There you go. Good game. Have a fantastic one, guys. We'll see you soon. A week or two, figure. And join the Discord if you have not. That's where you get the updates. Twitter X at Trouble Minds R. Don't forget the R for radio. And we'll see you soon. Have a fantastic night.